Good morning.
Benefits, and even if
Good morning,
you
everyone.
think you're eligible for these benefits, you'd be surprised. That's what elder law attorneys do, is we help people who may not be eligible at this point become eligible so that they can protect their assets for themselves, their spouse.
Hey, Rich.
It sounds like a really great idea.
That one's working, but the other one isn't. Yeah, the board isn't working. Unless I'm missing something.
His number toll free 1-855-FALA.
I can't hear a damn thing.
That's amazing.
It's really bad. I just wish I would have. Do you have the extension I can use?
Yeah.
Hi, this is
That's
George
insane.
Ford, the Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place, many people have been forced to neglect their feet. We at the Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part of all is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7060. That's 954
Very strange.
597-7060. Don't let social distance.
Oh, that's not gonna. Is that gonna reach?
Care of your feet. Call the Soul Authority
Hold on.
today.
I don't know if that's gonna reach.
And I want to tell you
Is that
about
even gonna
dental
reach?
care.
Unfreaking believable.
And I avoided going to
I
the
guess I'll be
dentist
without
for a lot of
headphones.
years because I was afraid of the cost. But I went to Brighton Dental for my free consultation, which, by the way, he offers to all Steve Kane listeners. I had 2 cavities. I needed a crown on top and a crown on the bottom. If I were a horse, they would have put me down.
Yeah.
So I scheduled my appointment for the next Saturday.
Very nice.
because
Try the other
Brighton Dental has
jack.
Saturday appointments
I hear it, but it's
available.
distorted.
It saved me a ton of money, and I will be a patient for life.
It's all messed up.
Don't let cost stop you.
It's
from
the
taking
extension's
care of
not
your
fitting
teeth.
in there
Brighton
right.
Dental gives
There, I got it.
listeners incredible
Thanks. We'll have
discounts
to
on
get
all
this
dental
fixed. This is
procedures,
crazy.
Just like they gave me. Prices are so
I can't believe they didn't check that when he.
reasonable about the cost. So call Brighton Dental
Makes no
today at
sense.
Well,
It's like he disconnected this one and plugged.
4633. That's 954
Crazy.
922 4633.
I'll bring it up.
You can visit them at brightondental.com and tell them Lori Kane sent you.
Yeah, this one's working.
You are listening to South
Yeah.
Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve K Show.
Oh boy. Yes, yes. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. I apologize for coming on a little late. We had a technical issue that was, we moved, today's a week today. We've been in the new studio. And we were kind of thinking about this being temporary because there were some people that want us to move our studio into their location. We're sought after. People want that studio. I don't know why, but people do. They want to be around us, I guess. And so we were thinking about, when all this coronavirus business is over, relocating our studio to one of a number of other locations. But I got to tell you, I'm really liking it up here at the radio station. There's a lot of things I like about being up here, but one, seconds before airtime, that's why the commercial was a little longer, at the top coming on, there was a technical issue. And if we were back in the old studio or we move into another new one with just me, I'd be done. I'd have to wait till after the show. I'd have to play a song. I'd have to call the radio station and tell them to put a tape on. And Rich Allen's here, and he fixed it for me. And it's a minor thing. It's no big thing. But if you're alone, a minor thing can be a big thing. So I don't know. I think I'm going to... We won't decide until after all this coronavirus business is past us. But I think I want to stay here at the radio station because it's a lot easier for me to broadcast here. I got a little help when I need. That's the second time this week. The other day, I pulled the power cord out of the monitor. I couldn't play any commercials or any sound bites because I couldn't see because the monitor was off. Rich came in, he fixed that, fixed this. So I think we're... I don't know. I'm going to be talking to... We'll see. We'll see. But I'm thinking of staying here at the radio station. It's much easier, and when there's a technical issue, it's taken care of. I can't do. It's very hard to do that while you're on the air. All right, listen. Welcome, one and all. It is Wednesday morning already, and I forgot yesterday was Cinco de Mayo. I can't believe it. It's the 6th of May, 2020. Lots happening. Lots going on. Later in the show, we're going to have a guest on the phone. We're going to have a local reporter on the program, and we're going to we'll do this later in the show. I'm not going to do it now, but later in the show, we're going to have a local reporter here on the show, and we're going to talk to them about some major developments with the Broward County Sheriff. And I'll tell you who they are and who they're with later in the program. But they have some reporting on the sheriff with what I consider to be major, huge developments in the story of Broward County Sheriff Tony. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. Someone asked me yesterday if I lived in Broward, would I be doing this on the air 3 days in a row? Now it would be 3 days, but yesterday it was 2 days. If you lived in Broward, would you be doing this story? Yeah, I would if I were in Broward. And I would also make sure that I didn't go 1/2 of a mile over the speed limit. No, I'm sure it'd be fine. But it's a story. It's a big story. It's in all the local news. It's in the local newspapers. It's something we've got to deal with. And there has been what I consider to be a major break through some investigative reporting with the news organization we're going to have on the program later today. I'm not going to tell you who they are until then. See, you can't announce guests before you have them on the show. I made that mistake long ago. One of the first lessons I learned in talk radio is never in advance announce who your guests are. Because what happens is when you announce who your guest is in advance, trolls out there contact the guest and either tell them not to do the show or claim to be you and cancel them. It has happened to me. It was insane. I learned that a long time ago. So I'm not going to tell you who we are having on or who they are with, but they are a local reporter who's uncovered some major breaks in the Broward County Sheriff's story. So we'll get to that later in the show. Schiff, the Democrats, they're talking about hearings investigating Trump's coronavirus response. And I'm here to tell you that I support Adam Schiff having investigative hearings into Trump's coronavirus response. I support that. And let me tell you why I support that. If the Congress can open up for hearings, which are a big waste of time, if the Congress can open up for hearings, certainly all of America can open up. So who can say that a hairstylist in Texas is going to have to do 7 days in the jail, in the county jail, because she opened up her salon? Who's going to say restaurants and bars and the whole country cannot reopen if that creep Adam Schiff and all his Democrat minions are having hearings? So that's why I support Adam Schiff's hearings. We'll talk about that a little later. And then after the first break, I'm going to play some audio after the first break. There's a story with a nurse who is working at a hospital in New York City. She's not from New York. She went there because of this. She's from another state, and we'll get into this after the break, but she's from another state. She went to New York City, and she went there to help out with the coronavirus outbreak. And she made a video, a very detailed video about what she is seeing and experiencing in the hospital. The woman's about to have a breakdown. It is what I believe should be the lead story in all the news media today. You know, and the media, they're obsessed with the healthcare workers, right? This is a major story involving a healthcare worker, a nurse who's working in a hospital right now in New York, sharing her experiences, and it should be the lead story everywhere, but it's not. But it'll be, I guess, our lead after the next break, after the first break of the show, because I find it disturbing, I find it alarming, and it's something that needs to be heard. So, yeah, we have a lot of other things, too. This is a period where 3 hours just is not enough time. I mean, really, we need like 5 hours to get through all this stuff, but, you know, 5 hours, that's a long time on the air, 5 hours, especially when I'm alone. 5 hours. 3 hours is a long time on the air by yourself. Could you imagine? Yeah, so there you have it. You know, this hairdresser that opened up in Texas that's going to jail. You know, a lot of people think, how could this happen? It's Texas. It's Republican. Not everyone in Texas is a Republican. There are a lot of Democrats out there. And I promise you, I don't know who the particulars are or who the individuals are. I promise you that Democrats are involved in this hair salon owner going to jail for 7 days out in Texas for opening up. Oh, I know, they said shut down. I've been talking about this for weeks. I don't believe in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. I think we could go right to back to normal and almost everything except, that is, schools. I would not open up the schools right now. Children are not responsible enough to take those precautions. I would keep the schools closed. But other than that, I would open up everything, including gyms, including bars. And there's been a big break in the Democrat power base here in Florida. Now, the entire state of Florida opened up into phase 1. Can you imagine we are now? What is this? East Germany? It feels like it, doesn't it? It does feel like East Germany. But the entire state of Florida went into phase 1 under Governor DeSantis here, except the Democrat strongholds of Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County. They did not want to open up. And Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach are, of course, the Democrat strongholds in this state, and they're sticking together. They're sticking together. Well, they're not sticking together so much. Palm Beach County's commission, they had a vote 5-1, so one jerk voted against doing this. They are asking the governor to issue an executive order to start moving Palm Beach County into phase 1, which would begin with the opening of our beaches. And I live in Palm Beach County, the same county as the president, the same county as Mar-a-Lago. So I definitely support that. And I'm very excited about that. And, you know, I was talking, I guess it was last week when this came out, or maybe Monday's show, that once the state opens up except for Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach, there's going to be a lot of pressure put on the local governments in these counties to open for business. And sure enough, Palm Beach is the first to crumble, and Broward will be next. And I'm very excited about that because I want everything back to normal here in South Florida. All right, let's take a call. Good morning, you're on the radio. Come on, you're on the air. Did I catch you off guard? That's okay. Okay, I understand. Get nervous. It's okay to be nervous. Well, you know what? Let me take the first break, and then we'll get back into our sound bites. Your calls are welcome, by standing up is not because I couldn't sit down. We have chairs. But the studio allows you to stand up. I've been sitting down for years, and it's nice to be able to stand up and stretch my legs while I'm on the air. But I'm sitting down right now for people that have been wondering. Yes, we can sit down. If you go to SteveCaneShow.com, I did give a tour that I posted up there of our new studio. There's also a tour of the old studio on the last day before it was dismantled, and then you get to see it after it was dismantled. So go to SteveCaneShow.com or my YouTube channel, Brian Craig, to check that out. All right, let's take our break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back.
So you've been told you need a health test. What are you going to have to pay? Health tests can be very expensive. If you go to your doctor's office or one of the big labs, it can cost you hundreds of dollars. Sometimes I haven't had lab tests because of the cost. Then I discovered Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs' goal is to get you all the lab tests you need, save you money, and get you in and out in 15 minutes or less. At Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs, you never need an appointment, no doctor's order, or prescription needed either. You can walk right in and have any of their thousands of lab tests done for just a fraction of the price the big labs or your doctor's office charge. Give them a call, 954-906-5983. 954-906-5983. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is located on the southeast corner of University and Ramblewood near the Coral Square Mall. Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. Private and affordable lab testing. 954-906-5983.
The science behind the aging process is exploding. We have come to a point where we can take steps to significantly
Welcome, everyone.
improve
Make
the
sure
health
you subscribe.
Our cells. Healthy cells means healthy tissue, means healthy organs,
Oh, yeah?
means a healthy
Doesn't
body.
surprise me.
And
See, I was
healthy
right.
bodies do better and live longer. That's right, folks. I said it. Live longer. Life expectancy is increasing in this country, and it is not a coincidence. With simple, safe, and effective therapies such as peptides, we can significantly improve the
really?
function and health
Is
of
it
your
fine now?
cells.
Let
and
me take a
therefore,
look.
we are improving your health from the ground up. Sleep better, lose weight, build muscle, have energy, have sex, be in a good mood. If feeling good and looking good sounds good to you, call me, Dr. Mitchell Matez at the Boca Raton Center for Age Management at 561-953-5490. That's 561-953-5490. Or visit our
Steve Kane
website
Show.
at hormonetherapybocaraton.com.
Steve Kane Show.
Listen to The Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just search for
Oh, boy. It's starting, people. I'm Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Now, Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs, we have actually 2 locations of Any Lab Test Now that are advertising here on the Steve Kane Show. One is Any Lab Test Now in Coral Springs, which is at University in Ramblewood. And we also have the Any Lab Test Now of Boca. So Any Lab Test Now of Boca, Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs are the ones advertising here on the Steve Kane Show. You can contact either of them if you have questions about either location. They're both listed at stevekaneshow.com. There are a lot of Any Lab Test Nows, but those are the only 2 advertising on the Steve Kane Show. All right, if you get my drift on that. So support the show. Go to Any Lab Test Now of Boca, Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs. All right, well, welcome back, everyone. So, Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been hospitalized, and, we wish her well, but, is she physically fit enough to be on the Supreme Court of the United States? I remember when Kavanaugh came to the White House after everything, when Kavanaugh came to the White House after he was on the court for, the ceremonial swearing in they did at the White House. Ruth Bader Ginsburg came in, and I was talking about this at the time. Ruth Bader Ginsburg made Joe Biden look coherent and with it. She's totally checked out. And my guess would be with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I could be wrong about this. This is just my personal guess based on when I've seen her. For the most part, her clerks are a team forming her seat on the Supreme Court. That she's not the active justice, that it's her clerks that are probably the justice. You get my drift? Come on. And, Donald Trump gets one more Supreme Court justice. It is a Trump court for decades to come. And, the difference between a conservative court and a liberal court, or a liberal federal judge and a conservative federal judge, is a pretty simple one. Conservative judges, not just on the Supreme Court, but, on the federal court system as a whole, they are strict interpreters of the law, of the Constitution. And oftentimes, you will find conservative judges ruling in favor of, for example, pornographers. Conservatives are not fans of pornography, but conservative justices with the First Amendment will rule with pornographers and have. Because there's a First Amendment. Liberal justices, liberal judges, they're the ones that call the Constitution a living document that lives and breathes and changes with the wind, which is a bunch of hooey. And liberal judges, liberal Supreme Court justices, they make rulings based on how they feel or how they want to be. It's called, you hear the phrase legislating from the bench. And that's very dangerous, this trend of legislating from the bench. You see it happen all the time. It happens. And in most every instance when it happens with a Democrat, with a liberal. That's the way it is. They think that they are that they are the final arbiters, and they know what's best for everyone. So even if you're a Democrat, you should really support President Trump getting a Trump Supreme Court, getting another justice up there. You don't want a justice on the Supreme Court that makes a ruling on something based on whatever the current trending feeling is. You want someone who's going to rule based on your rights under the Constitution of the United States. That's why sometimes a conservative on the court will make rulings and people will get so mad. Why did they why did Reagan nominate that person? Why did they do it? Well, you can't win them all. I don't trust John Roberts. John Roberts was a big mistake, I'll tell you that. John Roberts, what a disappointment John Roberts is. But Ruth Bader Ginsburg really should retire. It's not healthy for her. It's not good for Ruth Bader Ginsburg's health for her to be on the Supreme Court. I know they don't work that much, and it's a pretty relaxing job, but she really needs to be at home. She needs to be resting. And there is certainly a question as to whether or not she is the justice or her clerks. Now, I'll never trust John Roberts again, not after what he did on Obamacare. He can't be trusted. Now, he'll rule on, he'll rule right on most things, but on big things, when they need him, he's there for them, like on Obamacare. So we'll be following Ruth Bader Ginsburg and wish her well because, she's been there for a long time. I got respect for her and all. I disagree with her, but she's not the judge that I disagree with the most. These Obama picks, they're the worst, without question. All right, listen, our number toll-free, 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631. Good morning, you're on the radio.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan Airport. This is Al.
Liberal Al telling us he's at the Ronald Reagan Airport. Okay, I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited because I get to see my family for a couple of days, and then I'm back to D.C.
I'm sure they can't wait for you to go back to D.C.
Anyway, yesterday we were talking about the...
Let me ask you, let me ask you this, though. You claim you're in Washington, D.C., and you live in Washington, D.C. and all. Washington, D.C. is one of those lockdown cities with lots of problems up there with coronavirus. Is it really smart for you to be flying to Florida to meet your family and expose your family to you coming from a hotbed, D.C.?
Yeah, I've already been tested. I have the antibodies, so I'm not...
Oh, you've been... how convenient. He has the antibodies, please. Okay.
Well, you'll hear in the background shortly because people are boarding right now onto the flight.
Yeah, you try to sell it too hard. I mean, for all I know, you've got some YouTube video in the background playing airport sounds. I don't know.
The YouTube video is being loaded up right now. I just did a YouTube video.
Yeah, whatever. What's on your mind, Al? Enough. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind is the 65% of the deaths in the state of Florida happen in the other 64 counties. We've had in these 3 counties almost 400 deaths and deaths.
Well, I don't know how you can say we've had in these 3 counties if you're not to say that you're in these. To say we in regards to these 3 counties implies that you live in one of these 3 counties. You're a D.C. Beltway person now. What are you talking about, we? I know. Well, okay. But anyway, I know I should be an interrogator. I know I should be.
Broward County has only got 20.
So you believe that Broward, Dade, okay, so this is interesting. You believe that Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach should remain closed.
90% closed.
90% closed. Okay, then make sense of this for me. If Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach, stop trying to show off or whoever's that. If Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach County, in your opinion, should remain closed, why are you flying here? Why is the airport open to you to fly here and bring yourself to this area that you believe should be shut down? Should air travel also not be stopped coming into these dangerous communities? And certainly there should be a question as to whether or not you should be allowed to return to D.C. since you're coming from this hot spot of South Florida that you believe should remain closed.
Well, I'll post
Steve
it on
Kane Show.
Instagram later. Each car,
Steve Kane Show.
each Metro Rail car, only had one person and a 25-foot car. Okay, do you understand that
I don't understand what you're saying. Why should these counties be closed in South Florida?
I didn't say all the counties. I just said the three counties.
Yeah, the three major counties, Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach, should remain closed.
Yeah, well, just like you shouldn't open up Black Hawk County to anything.
You shouldn't open up what? Black counties? What are you talking about?
No, Black Hawk County in Iowa is a hotspot, and that you have to restrict people's movements in that county.
Now, see, this is America, not North Korea. This is America, not East Germany. You don't limit people's movements, and if you believe people's travel ability should be limited in South Florida, why are you allowed to fly here from D.C.? Why are your travel movements not being limited? Why are you allowed to come here and leave, and the rest of us, well, we should not. We have to have our movements restricted. Why are you allowed freedom of movement?
You're still allowed to go to your local Walmart.
Oh, I'm still allowed. I'm still allowed to go to my local Walmart. Think about that, what you just said. What is this, Havana?
Listen.
Yeah, I can't listen anymore. I'm bored. Sorry about that. Yeah, I had to let him go. Were you guys getting bored? I was getting bored without myself too, so I had to let him go. All right, it's 6:30 in the morning. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. That's right. We'll take our break and be right back. Don't go anywhere.
I'm here with my attorney, Barry Siegel, the very fine attorney who executed my revocable living trust. Now,
thanks,
I
sir.
had a revocable living trust when I went to see Barry.
Yeah, his movements aren't limited, but ours should be.
Just having it's not enough.
Yeah, I would say so, Jack.
Give me the reasons for that, Barry.
Well,
Notice he said we,
things change
we,
as time goes
but he's
by.
in D.C.
And that's why it's important, just like you go to the doctor and get checkups every so often.
All right, what should I do
Important
coming
get
back? I got so
your
much to talk
revocable
about
trust
here.
and other estate planning documents checked up upon a regular basis.
I guess the
And
nurse.
just every 3 years. And some of the reasons why you would need to update your estate plan is, first of all, some of the provisions that you may have made, your
Steve Kane Show.
beneficiaries, your trustees,
Hey.
you may need to change them for one reason or another. Maybe your
Unreal. Make sure you
trustees
guys
no longer
subscribe.
with us. Maybe they're not the best choice anymore. Maybe you had more children and you need to put them in as beneficiaries as well. Also,
in my case, my executive.
Your local
had
sheriff can
died,
open up?
So I had no one representing me. Today I have Brian.
Yeah, I don't mind talking to
that's
liberals.
exactly the point. You need to review and dust off that old estate plan and take a look and see what you have to make sure it's up to date. You also want to make sure that it's up to date because laws change from time to time, and also things in your financial life may have changed, hopefully for the better. And if that's the case, we need to make sure that your planning is up to date, so that the bottom line is we want your estate plan to work for you when you need it. So that's why it's so important to make sure that your estate plan, and specifically your revocable living trust, is up to date.
The bottom line is call Barry Siegel at the Siegel Law Group, make an appointment, go in, make sure that your revocable living trust is updated. The number, toll-free, 1-855-FLA-3782. Be sure to mention to Barry that Steve Kane sent you. We are chatting today with Frank, the owner of two magnificent Ace Hardware stores. One, Deerfield Beach, 365 South Federal Highway, about a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough on the west side of Federal Highway. And the other, Beach Ace Hardware.
I've tried sweet potato
located
fries
at
myself. I'm not a
232
fan of sweet
Commercial
potatoes.
Boulevard, half a block west of A1A in the Lauderdale by the sea. Well, one of the things I noticed when I first walked into Ace Hardware is that you carry such a wide variety of the big brands all under one roof. It's astounding.
That's Ace's new practice. It's called Best Brands. And under one roof, we have major categories. Let me give you an example of two. Yeti Coolers, Craftsman Hand
Stop talking
Tools,
about food. I'm
Hand
starving
Tools,
now.
Steel Power,
I can't eat this early.
More Paint, Weber Grills, Napoleon Grills, Traeger Grills, Big Green Egg. We are a platinum dealer. We have the largest selection of Green Egg products. All
Yeah, I
under
had
one
an
roof,
uncle
all with people that are
get
experienced
abusive with me when I was a
and
kid
how to
over over sweet potatoes
There are
once.
lots
I'm
of
not
Ace
serious.
Hardware stores, but there are only 2 that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deerfield location, a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal, and of course the Beach Ace Hardware located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, a half block west of A1A in Lauderdale
Yeah,
by the
it's
sea.
ridiculous.
Very, very special locations. Be sure to mention Steve Kane sent you.
It's kind of like a mommy dearest
Listen
thing.
to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio. Just
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You know, actually, Frank from Ace Hardware is going to be on the show Friday in studio. We're going to have our first in-studio guest in the new studio. It's going to be Frank, the owner of these great 2 Ace Hardware. So if you have any questions for Frank over at Ace Hardware, call in. We're going to talk about, you know, here you got a guy, a brick and mortar retail establishment, 2 locations, Ace Hardware, Deerfield, Beach Ace Hardware, open for business during this pandemic era we are in, and he's doing very well. And by the way, those free bandanas for all of you still available at both locations. If you mention the Steve Kane Show, they are great bandanas. And again, these bandanas are thick bandanas that you see construction workers and lawn crews wear. And great thing that they come in multiple colors. They're free if you mention the Steve Kane Show when you're over at Ace Deerfield or Ace at the Beach Hardware location. They're washable, which is very important. You really should wash your face covering each and every day when you get home for the day. You really should. And you can put these in the washing machine, these bandanas. So Frank from Ace Hardware will be live in studio Friday. I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning. You're on the radio.
This is Mike.
Hey, Mike in Louisiana. How's it going?
Yeah, you know about. Here's the thing about Bader Ginsburg. She's right in that area with her age and her medical history that she's a risk for coronavirus. She really is.
Well, yeah, she's well above it. Yeah, I know she is. But, you know, many people on the court are because people get old up there. Although Trump's picks are much younger. I would like, Trump's next pick, I'd like him to pick somebody right out of law school so they can be up there for like 60, 70 years. You know what I mean? Pick somebody that just graduated law school. They're 25. Very there's, isn't the new White House press secretary, isn't she an attorney? Didn't she go to Harvard or something? You know her. She'd be great. You know, someone, a 25-year-old Supreme Court nominee, and they'll be on the court for like 70 years of Trump rulings. In fact, maybe all his federal judges should be right out of law school.
Well, the thing is, I think they'd like to have somebody with a little bit more experience.
Now, I know they'd like to, but, I would like to have somebody up there for 70 years.
Right. I'd like to have somebody up there for 70 years, but probably that's not going to happen because from what I've heard, the next one on the list is probably Amy Coney Barrett, but that's neither here nor there. With Bader Ginsburg, I mean, she did say she wanted to stay around until there was another Democrat.
Yeah. Well, Trump's going to have a second term, and she's really, I feel sorry for Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I really do. And I think it's cruel to have her working still in her health condition.
Oh, sure. And look, there's been rumors about
Not always. They don't have to.
Stephen Breyer retiring soon as well.
You do not have to be. People think you have to already be a judge or something to get nominated. That is not true. I'm sure you have to be an attorney. I'm sure there's some requirement. I'm not even sure about that. But you don't have to have already been a federal judge. You don't even have to have already been a judge. In fact, I can't remember which one it is. Maybe somebody can tell me. There was one former president who became justice. I forget which one now. Somebody will let me know. But you don't have to have been a judge. You don't have to have been a Supreme Court clerk. I know traditionally that's how it goes with this club, but no, that you don't have to be. All right, Mike in Louisiana, thank you so much for your call. I want to play this audio because it's a bit long and it might take us the rest of this hour to do it. This is a nurse. Let me pull up the story here because I want to give the details of who she is before I play the audio. She's working at a hospital in New York, and she's very disturbed at the quality of care that patients are receiving. This story, I found it in the Daily Mail, which the Daily Mail's really been going down the tubes a lot lately, but every once in a while, I still check it out every day. This is the headline: Nevada nurse who came to New York City to work on the coronavirus front lines claims minority patients are being murdered by negligent doctors misplacing ventilator tubes and giving unnecessary defibrillation. But she says nobody cares, and she's very upset. She made this video, she posted it online, and I'm of the opinion this should be the lead story on our newscast nationwide. And I don't know if any of you have seen this on television. It's perfect for television. It involves New York, it involves coronavirus, and it involves a healthcare worker on the front lines in New York City. Let's go through this. This is the nurse from the hospital.
But people aren't dying from COVID. Let me give you several examples here. An anesthesiologist intubated the patient's, I think it was right, bronchi and of a patient, and they couldn't get the sats up, and for about 5 hours, we were waiting on a chest x-ray to confirm that the placement was wrong. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, and we've told the anesthesiologist that it was placed wrong, because literally only one side of his chest is waiting.
She's big on the F word.
He dies. Okay? A patient had a heart rate of 40, and the resident started doing chest compressions on him, which is not what you do. You just externally pace them, or you give him some atropine. And then, I run in there to stop him from doing chest compressions on somebody with a pulse. And then he decides to push epi. He throws some pads on him to defibrillate the guy in bradycardia. Okay, he has a heart rate of 40 in a stable, bradycardic rhythm. We just need to give him some atropine and pace him. He defibrillates him and kills him. And I was literally ran out of the patient's room to get the director of nursing was standing out there. And I'm like, can you stop him? He's going to kill that patient. He's going to kill that patient if he defibrillates him with bradycardia and a heart rate of 40. And the director of nursing just shook his head. And I turned around and he killed the dude.
Now, this nurse, her name's Nicole. She's 37 years old. She's working in a New York City hospital, and she's sharing her experiences in a very emotional video. I know she's big on the F word. Those beliefs are mostly F words. And as this goes on, she gets more and more emotional. She traveled to New York City from Arizona, so she truly cares. And, a lot of times, I know nurses aren't doctors, but, in many instances, nurses are more experienced than some doctors. And, I know residents have different levels of experience and qualifications, et cetera, et cetera. But I've never heard of doing defibrillation or chest compressions on somebody with a pulse. I thought that was when they didn't, and she said it was 40 beats per. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'm just sharing this video that should be discussed in the national media. All right, let's get back to it.
The dude. Okay? There was a nurse who placed an NG tube into some guy's lungs and filled his lungs with tube feeding. There was a nurse who confused a long-acting insulin with a short-acting insulin and gave 30 units of a fast-acting insulin and killed the guy. What else? What other stuff have I seen? Yeah. It's just here they're just gonna let them rot on the vent. They're medically mismanaging these patients. And I'm not a doctor, guys. I'm not professing to be a doctor by any means. But there's, like I said, basic standards of care that we have to do. When somebody's low on blood, literally on the brink of a critical low blood level, we should replace the blood. But I asked the residents, and they're like, does he have internal bleeding? And I said, no. And they're like, well, then we're not replacing the blood. We have a nurse who, fell asleep at the nurse's station while we were all in rooms, and her norepinephrine ran out, and the guy had blood pressure and didn't perfuse his brain, and I'm pretty sure he's brain dead. That same nurse is now running a CRRT machine, a dialysis-like machine, that she has never done before. She said she'll figure it out. because nobody is listening. They don't care what is happening to these people.
I saw it, yeah, I saw
They
it.
don't. I'm literally coming here every day and watching them kill them. Because it's like going in the Twilight Zone. Like, everyone here is okay with this. Look, the only way I can kind of put this into context for everybody is, and this is going to be kind of an extreme example, this is like really the only thing I can come up with, is like if we were in Nazi Germany and they were like taking the Jews to go put them in a gas chamber, I'm the one like there saying, hey, this is not good, this is bad, this is wrong, we should not be doing this. And then everyone tells me, hang in there, you're doing a great job, you can't save everybody, you're amazing, you're a great nurse. Guys, I know I'm a good nurse, I know I go in there and I give it 500% every day, I know I'm not being negligent. Okay, I know that. What I need is someone to help me save these people from being killed.
Okay. Now, if you're just tuning in, this is a nurse in New York City. She's from Arizona. She left Arizona to go and help with the crisis in New York City, and she is sharing her observations of the New York City hospital. And what she's saying is that it is not quality care, that it's actually the opposite. And she believes patients are dying, patients she's working with, patients she's seeing, because they're getting, well, care from incompetence.
Okay, from gross negligence and complete medical mismanagement. And no one is listening to me. Solution for me? Because I'm kind of out of ideas. Like, and try and talk with some of the other nurses here, and they're like, well, you can't save everybody. And they all know what's happening. They all agree with me, and they all just shake their heads, and I'm like, am I the only one who is not a sociopath? To think that this is okay? I mean, guys, they literally don't even know when they're dead. Like, how many times have I told you they've assigned me a dead person? Like, how long have they been dead? Nobody knows. And they assigned him to me. And he was already in a body bag. Like, guys, they're not dying of COVID, okay? Like, yeah, people are gonna die of COVID. Like, yeah, some people legit will end up with multi-organ failures and will just throw in clots and kill them, like, and die. People, I know this. I'm not, like, some new grad, okay? That's gonna save everybody in the world, okay? I am literally telling you that they're murdering these people. And nobody will listen to me. Watched anesthesiologist place an ET tube and rupture their esophagus, and the guy choked to death with his own blood. COVID didn't place that ET tube incorrectly. And nobody cares because they're all minorities and we're in the hood. And that's just not okay.
I saw it this morning.
That's just weird, guys. They're all okay with it. Like, I tell you, we get on a bus and we go into the Twilight Zone here. Like, how do you not know when your patient is dead? For real. I mean, back at the other unit, it was just crazy and bodies were just dropping. Yeah, I can understand that. But guys, we have a ton of staff. Like, yeah, we have hundreds of extra nurses that are still here that are not part of hospital staff managing these patients, but we're on top of it now. We're on top of it now. There's no reason to not know when your patient's dead. Alright, guys, I'm going to the unit. Let's see how they kill him there, okay?
Okay, now, that story, I did see the video before I saw it in the Daily Mail, and, the Daily Mail is where there's a big story on this. I did tweet it. You can go to the Daily Mail. You can see it. Nevada nurse who came to New York City is in the headline, top of the headline. The Daily Mail is a credible news outlet, and they believe that it's credible enough to print in their newspaper. Certainly, it is worth listening to her and find out if what she is saying is true. And this is what burns me. I don't know if she's legit or not. I don't know. I don't have the ability to go to New York and investigate this. But you know what? The entire media are in New York right now. That's where they work. They're based in New York. She's in New York. The national media that are based in New York City could verify whether or not this is true or not. If it's not true, it needs to be exposed because she's making some terrible charges, and she's in particular talking about the treatment of minorities, that African Americans are being treated with this low quality of care because they're black. That should be investigated. If it's true, my God, this is something that has to be dealt with if what she's saying is true. I don't know if what she's saying is true or not. But I'm not ABC, CBS, NBC, all the rest, Fox News Channel. I'm not based in New York City. They could send somebody over there to the hospital where she is at and go and talk to her right now. And I promise you, every major media outlet is as familiar with that video as I am, because the news outlets that have it online are the ones that everybody in the media, especially the Fox News people, go to. And you want to talk about malpractice, it is journalistic malpractice not to investigate that. They don't want to make Cuomo look bad. See, Cuomo is being groomed to be the Democrat nominee. Maybe not this time, but next time. And right now, he's the favorite to be the president in 2024. Right now, it's a long way off and anything can happen, but he's the favorite right now in 2024 to be not only the Democrat nominee, but the president. He very well could be our next president after Trump's second term. Scary, but it's true. It's possible. If this is going on in his state, if this is going on in de Blasio's New York City, don't you think Fox News Channel should be there and investigate this and find out if it's true? Do you think they'll ask Cuomo about this in his daily pressers that he's doing? Let's take our last break of the first hour when we get back. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
You're stuck in your home and the dog days of summer are coming. It's already happening on the hot days in the late afternoon and early evenings. Your air conditioner is running more and more and may even run constantly, struggling to keep your home cool and hold the temperature that you have it set on. And in some homes, it can't even keep up, losing the battle.
Scary.
The temperature in your house climbs and you're hot, humid, and uncomfortable. And to top it all off, your electric bill is about to double or even triple. Here comes summer. The cure is reflective and/or blown insulation. Stop the heat gain and cut your electric bill up to 35% off. Act now and get the pandemic special, our off-season sale. Act now. Save 50% on reflective and/or blown insulation and cut your electric bill up to 35%. Call Scott from CutMyKilowatts.com at 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. CutMyKilowatts.com. Put your house in the shade today.
Hurricane season is right around the corner, and the predictions are that the 2020 hurricane season will be busier than normal, with 16 named storms predicted, 8 turning into hurricanes, and 4 growing into major hurricanes. That's according to scientists at Colorado State University. That's 3 more named storms and hurricanes, and 2 more major hurricanes than they predicted at this time last year. Do you have the hurricane coverage you need and the coverage you want for your home, condominium, or commercial property? In case a hurricane hits, call Debbie at I Will Advisors, 954-753-8080, 954-753-8080.
Yeah.
Debbie will review your policy
from getting up at 3:30. I got up at 3:15 today, actually.
And the coverage you need. Once a hurricane hits, it's too late. Call Debbie at I Will Advisors right now, 954-753-8080, 954-753-8080.
This is Steve Kane. I'm here chatting with Dr. Troy Lemaski, my personal chiropractor. Dr. Troy, how are you today?
Doing well, Steve.
Chiropractic is an art. All the nerves in your body go through your spine. If your spine's out of line, the nerves get pinched, and of course you're going to have all kinds of symptoms and all kinds of pain as a result of that. And until you get that spine realigned, you're going to be in pain.
See my watch cover? Some of you have seen it already. My Apple Watch cover. It's President Trump's official portrait.
It will put
that
pressure
nice?
not only possibly on nerves, but more of the time on
it's awesome.
tissue structures such as the ligaments, the muscles, and it will create pressure. There are nerves within the joint called mechanoreceptors, and they will affect
Yeah, it
the
is cool.
actual nerves that are in the joint. Pinched nerves are very common, and they do come from spinal misalignment, but not everybody that has a problem has a pinched nerve.
I've been seeing you for a relatively short period of time, and you have the healing touch, I'll tell you that. When I walk out of your office, I feel like a whole new person. I know you take great care of everybody, but I know you're going to go that extra mile for our wonderful Steve Kane listeners. Doctor, give them the number of the office where they can make an appointment.
It's Coast Chiropractic Injury and Wellness Center, and the phone number is 954-463-3036. 954-463-3036. We're located in East Fort Lauderdale. We're just one block east of US 1 and Oakland Park Boulevard, right off Middle River Drive. The address is 2510 East Oakland Park Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale.
Dr. Troy Lamaski, a great healer.
Hey guys,
Make
I don't
an
want to
appointment
take the
today.
calls, but call in. I just made an update on the phones. Can you guys just call so I can see all the lines ring? Everybody. I'm not going to answer them. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. Our number toll-free, 888-GO-CANE-1. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. On the radio since 1977. That's right, indeed it is. A lot's being made of this Dr. Rick Bright character filing, some whistleblower complaint or something. I don't care about Rick Bright. I don't care if he was reassigned or fired or had a disagreement. They're going back to the well with the whistleblower complaint impeachment. And, the media and the left, they just don't get it. They don't get it. They don't understand why Trump is so popular during all of this, right? They had the porn actress, they had the impeachment, the Russian dossier with the Russian hookers, the Mueller report. Now they got a damn pandemic, right? And they just don't understand why, with all of these things, is Trump more and more popular. You guys saw the boat parade here in South Florida and Palm Beach County this weekend, the Trump boat parade. That was miraculous. When have you ever seen a parade spontaneously put on by just random people hanging out on the weekend for any president? It happened with Trump this week. They don't get it. And he's incredibly popular. See, if you remember when Strzok and Page's text messages first came out, remember what Page texted to Strzok? She said she's going to go out and get a copy of All the President's Men, that's their guidebook, how they got rid of Nixon. And Nixon was a coward. He was a coward. They thought that they would be able to get President Trump to do what Nixon did. Remember, Nixon was never impeached. President Trump sadly was. He resigned from office before what happened. And what a lot of people don't realize about Nixon is, Watergate happened in his first term. The major Vietnam protest that you see in every documentary and every history book you ever read, most every one of those took place in President Nixon's first term. And with Watergate, with the Vietnam War protest, all these fake things that the left put up against Richard Nixon, he was reelected to a second term. And remember, he won, how many states did he win in his reelection? Was it 49? He had a landslide victory. I mean, think about that. Richard Nixon had a landslide victory after the height of the Vietnam protest movement, after Watergate had already happened, and after he was reelected, they put the screws to him and he took the coward's way out and resigned. He shouldn't have resigned. He wasn't as comfortable with himself as President Trump is. And think about that. And if you look at the pattern against President Trump, while the names and the issues are a little different, it's the same technique they've been using against him. They threatened impeachment, they got impeachment, they got this phony scandal, that phony scandal, and they're never going to get rid of him. He's not a quitter, he's not going to resign, and those of us who support him are going to support him even more. And if they bring up some new hearings with Adam Schiff over this Bright character that no one cares about, I mean, don't they have a new tactic? They're playing the same song that bombed last time, the whistleblower, misusing the whistleblower statute. I don't know who Dr. Rick Bright is, and you know what? The president didn't either. They asked him about him a month or so ago, And and President Trump, they're going to be getting away from these coronavirus press conferences, and they are going to disband the coronavirus task force, which is spectacular. That sends a strong message that we're moving forward and moving out of all of this. And I'll tell you, Birx and Fauci should not be doing television interviews, and especially when the task force is no more. They should not be giving interviews. If they're going to continue to work for the government, they should be forbidden from giving interviews. And you got to wonder, Fauci. I've often suspected a lot of these people, Fauci, Cuomo, other governors, there's a lot of people that don't want this to end. They enjoy the notoriety, they enjoy the fame, they enjoy the power, they enjoy the daily press briefings on national television, and they don't, and many of them probably are not aware of it because a lot of this is at the subconscious level, but a lot of them do not want this to end. And I think that's obvious with some of them, especially Cuomo. Number 2 would be Fauci, but I don't think they want this to end. And when President Trump, when the White House is saying they're going to disband the coronavirus task force, I would think Fauci was like, oh. I was talking about this on my podcast last night. By the way, if you don't listen to my podcast, you certainly should. I upload my podcast to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig on YouTube. And it's on most podcast platforms, The Brian Craig Show, that I co-host with my wife from my studio at home. And I was talking about this last night. I was shocked to learn that Fauci, while Chris Cuomo, was sick with coronavirus, Fauci was talking to Chris Cuomo on the phone every night around 11 or 11:30 at night. And Fauci's known him since he was a kid, and he was talking to Chris Cuomo every night when he got off the air. What the hell is that all about? Should Fauci be in private communication with a primetime anchor at CNN? I don't care if he's known him since he was a kid. Is it appropriate for him to be talking to him? I would say no. And what do you think they talk about? You don't think Trump ever comes up? When Fauci and Chris Cuomo were talking at 11:30 at night, what do you think they're talking about? They're not talking about baseball. There's no baseball. They're talking about Trump. That's what they're talking about. Fauci said this on Chris Cuomo's show, by the way. It's no secret. This was broadcast on CNN, the Clinton News Network. All right, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm Brian Craig. 1 hour down, 2 to go. We'll take our break for the top of the hour and be right back.
95.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470. WWNN Pompano Beach is the Florida Money Talk Network.
Hear the train? That's the freight train?
We have on the line attorney Barry Siegel, our estate planning attorney, and he's going to tell you what you can do to take care of your family in this very difficult period. Barry, what have you seen happening with estate planning since the outbreak of the coronavirus?
Since the outbreak of the corona-19 virus, people have taken estate planning much more seriously. One of the things that we talk about often is how people procrastinate when it comes to setting up their estate planning, because estate planning, most of the time for people, is something they should do. But what the coronavirus has done with the outbreak and concern is made people put this at the top of their list. So instead of being a should, it's become a must. And therefore, we have received a ton of calls from people who have been telling us that they've been meaning to do this for a long time, but now they've realized how important it is to make sure, even if they're doing everything right and they stay home and do their social distancing, they still just want to make sure that they have that peace of mind that they've set up their estate plan to take care of the people that they love. Many people prefer face-to-face meetings. I typically am one of those people. With what's going on, we are still able to help people either by doing telephone consultations or even video consultations. We can send a link over to you, and all you have to do is touch the button, and all of a sudden we're face-to-face. We can see each other, and we can have a consultation just as if you were sitting in our conference room. And the whole point of it is you don't have to worry about your safety. You don't have to come in wearing gloves and a mask. All you have to do is we ask you that you fill out a questionnaire if you're married, that both you and your spouse attend. And we're able to do the same things and ask the same questions and have the same conversations that we do when you're sitting right there in our conference room, either over the phone or by video conference. It's been working out very, very well.
People are very concerned in this time about their health care. What planning is important for people to have as it relates to their healthcare?
Brian, healthcare planning is so very important. There are 3 key healthcare documents that everybody should have in their estate plan. The first one is the healthcare surrogate designation. The healthcare surrogate designation is a document that allows you to choose the surrogate.
Welcome everyone. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed.
Decisions for you if you are unable to do so. We always recommend that you name.
Yeah, let's see if that train runs on time. So it came around 7 o'clock. Let's see what time the train comes by tomorrow. So it's around is it 7 o'clock every day? It's pretty close. I can feel things vibrate here when it comes by.
Typically called the pull the plug document. If you are mentally incapacitated, you can't make your own healthcare decisions, and you have a terminal condition, an end-stage condition, or you're in a persistent vegetative state, the living will tell your healthcare surrogate whether or not you want to.
We're on the right side of the tracks, though.
If the machine is
We're on the east side of the tracks.
while you're in those conditions.
The wrong side of the tracks is west of the railroad tracks. We're east of the tracks on the side of the ocean, the beach.
That you would have wanted. The third healthcare document that is so important is called a HIPAA authorization.
5:04 a.m. Yeah, I just left. I can't even see it now. So it was around the break. I felt things vibrating as I was going to break, and I heard the train.
They won't share your private medical information with anybody other than other doctors.
I just took my shoes off. I don't know. I got carpeted floor. It's comfortable.
The HIPAA authorization and release that you set up with your estate planning says
broadcasting barefoot.
That you can share it with my spouse, my child, my brother, my sister.
I think I'll put my shoes back on. Yeah, the Trump train. That's right.
Them to be allowed to access your medical information either by talking to the doctors and nurses and other medical staff, or even getting your medical records. So all 3 of those healthcare documents are so important for everyone to have.
The Trump train. That's funny, Sarah.
During these times.
Now, Barry, the Siegel Law Group, you are donating healthcare documents to people in high-risk professions. That's healthcare workers, first responders, and even those who work at animal clinics and shelters.
Yeah, I can't say enough for the people out there who are risking their lives. This is interfering with their families, and they are just real heroes out there who are taking care of all of these ill people. So we wanted to make sure that they have the proper documentation that they needed for their own planning for themselves and their families, so that they would be protected. So we are offering healthcare workers, first responders.
It's a nice day.
Who deal with animals and animal clinics and animal shelters. We are offering them a free healthcare surrogate designation and a free living will. So all they have to do is call our office and we'll take care of that.
That's right. They want everybody under house arrest.
You who are doing this difficult work, handling that heavy load for all of us, we thank you very much. When you call the Siegel Law Group, we will give you a free consultation. That consultation can be either over the phone or by video conference, but the consultation will be free. So please give us a call and we will set that up for you.
Call Barry Siegel's office right now and take advantage of that free consultation. His number is toll-free, 1-855-FLA-3782. 1-855-FLA-3782. Online, SiegelLawGroup.com.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show.
Florida's longest running. We got to update that. Oh, yeah. All right, hour number 2 has begun. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Let's go right to the phones. Richie the bus driver, good morning.
That's the bottom line. I mean, the last night she said she questioned them back in February, and now they got some college lab that says that there's a mutation portion of this coronavirus. The virus is weakening as we speak. So you know, Fauci's not 100%.
Well, no, and he's more wrong than he is right, I would say, wouldn't you?
Yes, and I'd like bring up something. Towards the end of the show yesterday, you said I said something that was terrible. It bothered me all day. You remember what you said to me?
Yeah, in fact, I'm glad you called because I was listening. That was the very. I'll tell people what it is, and we'll talk about it. But I heard as I was getting ready to go on at 6, I have the radio on in the background, and I was listening to the end of yesterday's show during the end of the overnight rebroadcast, and I heard your call, and I misunderstood the point you were making on the radio yesterday. When you said what you, we'll go over it, but you said something, and I didn't hear exactly what you. I misunderstood the point you were trying to make, and I'll tell people what we were talking about. We were talking about Don Shula, and I don't talk about football too much because I don't know anything about it. But Of course, I know Don Shula is, and I like it. The great hamburgers, by the way, at Shula's. When they reopen, they should advertise on the Steve Kane Show. I like Shula's. They have one in Delray I go to some. I'm not sure if that one's still there. I think that one's gone. But anyway, we were talking about the undefeated team, and if they could have an undefeated team again in the NFL, why has it been so long without one? And you called in and you made a comment, and then you said, you know, they have more black players now. And I took that to mean, like, what does that mean? It seemed racial, and I was wrong.
Well, you know, I would bring this up. Thank you for saying that. What I'm bringing up is I watched the NFL draft, and I think out of the first 50, I don't think there was a white guy that was drafted.
Well, I think what you were now maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I think the point you were, and I did when I was going to bring this up when you called anyway, so I knew you'd call today because you call every day. So I was waiting till you called in, and I'm sorry it bugged you all day. I know how that is when something happens on the air and it bothers you all day long. It's really bad when it's on a Friday. You got to wait till Monday. It's awful. But believe me, I've been there. But what I think what you're saying is back in 1972, while blacks could play, they didn't play that much. And it was still in a way, the NFL was still to a certain extent or a large extent maybe even racially segregated. And now that it's open to everyone and the best players, the teams and the players are more equal today than they were in 1972 because the pool of great players and competent players is more wide open since it's open to all now. I think that's what you were saying.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that the black athlete is a much better athlete than the white.
Oh, now we're helping you. Now you're talking like Jimmy the Greek, so be careful. Yeah, I know. If you don't know about Jimmy the Greek, you guys can look it up. You know, but Jimmy the Greek. Yeah, okay.
Every sport, they're better athletes. And they're faster, bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's from, but it's the truth. So I mean, they're the better athletes, and
I don't know enough about football to have a conversation about it. Really, I don't. And I, my wife is a big football fan. I never watched sports ever, and then we started getting into football a few years ago. But my wife went to Florida State, so when Jameis Winston was with Florida State, they were a winning team. She got me into football, and then it spread into the pros a little bit. And then when the Trump rallies started on the weekends, I stopped watching football, and then they started their kneeling garbage, and then I really stopped watching it, and I've never gone back.
And but like I said, that's part of society. So sports is a big deal. They're talking about opening it all up again. And it's a big deal.
Well, they're talking about opening it up with seat separate. You know, I was at Friendly Tire a couple months back, and I ran into this guy that's been to every Dolphin game for the last 50 years. Yeah, he's one of these famous fans that they show on TV all the time. Some people will know who. He's not Dolphin Denny. There's another guy, and I don't know his name, and he was at Friendly Tire. I mean, that's dedication, especially when you got a losing team.
And one other comment I want to make. My wife made a comment to me this morning. You know, she talks to Venezuela a lot, and a lot of Spanish people in South America. You say Trump is followed by the world. Whatever Trump does, these other presidents follow in his footsteps. With this virus, even the guy in Venezuela, every move Trump makes, he waits for Trump to make the move before he makes the move.
You know, I haven't had time to really read the stories on this. I've only seen the headlines. But have you seen this story about this Green Beret that was part of a coup down there? They're trying to connect Trump to it?
Two of them that were hooked up with Colombians. There's about 50 Colombians that try to kill and overthrow the president down there. And 8 of them were killed, and 2 Americans were captured. They're ex Green Beret or whatever, ex special.
Yeah, it sounds like an interesting story.
The payoff that somebody, it could even be somebody within the Maduro government is trying to get them out of it.
Yeah.
Country, believe it or not, with this virus down there, there's a complete lockdown.
Well, when the troubles when they first had this division of who's the president in Venezuela, there was a story of, because Venezuela is very tightly connected with Russia, there were these stories of Russian planes flying out with, many people believe, gold. You know, Venezuela is an OPEC nation. So while the people may live in poverty, believe me, the leadership they've got overload. They're like Arafat, right? They got huge bank accounts, and there were stories about multiple Russian aircraft leaving Venezuela filled with gold.
Because I have a connection here. I personally don't think that we can sit back as being this country, okay? Venezuela right now is a third world pit like most of
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to insult people, but when you have a government like this on our doorstep with all this crap with the drugs, I mean, drugs are a big thing in Venezuela.
You know, South America is sad. I went to South America about 10 or 15 years ago with my friend. My friend was retiring, and he's Cuban. He's Cuban American. He was born and raised in Miami, but he's Cuban American. He speaks fluent Spanish. He grew up Cuban in Miami. So you know what I mean? And he had this idea that he would retire to South America because the money goes so far and he could live like a king down there. And I went with him to Peru, and I was terrified from the moment I stepped off the plane. You know, and it's so sad. I mean, I don't blame them for wanting to come to America. I don't know what it is. There's something about the culture. I mean, look at Puerto Rico. Look at how corrupt Puerto Rico is. If it wasn't a territory of the United States, it would be like Venezuela or Haiti or something.
You go on YouTube. Anybody want to look at go onto YouTube and just go under cities in South America. Go under the different cities like Bogota and all of them, and see the conditions that these people live in the cities. They make our slums look like.
Well, you know, and I think that I've been talking about this a lot over the last week or two. I think part of what's going on here in South Florida and Miami in particular, those that hold elected office are Hispanic, and either they're immigrants from Latin America or their parents or grandparents were, and so they're from that culture. And I think one of the reasons that the officials in Dade County are so into this overreach of government control down there, it's because it's like the culture of Latin America brought to Miami. I really do. And it's just it's a sad thing. But I'm glad I really did misunderstand what you were saying, Richie. So I don't want me,
And by the way, the average weight, I believe, of a football player on the line was like about 240 back then. Now they're like 3.
I know if you ever see these guys in person, they are massive people. They're like freaks. All right, Richie, I got to run, but thanks for the call. Good morning. You are on the radio. Look, let me hit it again. Good morning. You're on the air. Okay, caught you off guard. It doesn't matter. It's time for a break anyway. 16 minutes after the hour. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is George Corey of the Soul Authority. In this time of social distancing and sheltering in place, many people have been forced to neglect their feet. We at the Soul Authority are making it possible for you to still take care of your feet while remaining in your home, as we will send a doctor to your house for all of your podiatric needs. The best part of all is that Medicare pays for this visit. So, if you're a Medicare recipient, give the Soul Authority a call today at 954-597-7060. That's 954-597-7060. Don't let social distancing stop you from taking care of your feet.
I hate to block people.
Today.
Brian Craig,
but I may have to.
Conservative Doug called me up live on the air to tell me about his experience at Friendly Tire.
I had 2 bald tires in the back of my Infinity. I called them up. I feel like we always check prices first. Half the price of everybody else.
Half the price?
And
half the price at Friendly Tire. Wow.
Half the price. And not only that, his tires, which nobody, the tires I've been looking at, had any mileage guarantee. His is a 60,000 mile warranty. So wow. They're not only half the price, the price is good.
So you're a repeat customer over there at Friendly Tire. You bought new tires, right? So you bought new tires, because they also sell used tires, starting at just $30 for most sizes. But you bought new tires, and they were half the price at Friendly Tire than at the other tire shops around town. That is phenomenal, and came with a 60,000 mile warranty on the tires. That's great. And of course, Friendly Tire, they never charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or dispose of your old tires. The price that they give you are out the door and on the road.
I'm coming on the phone.
Everybody should go there. I don't know how anybody could buy tires.
I'll give them a break. They might just be nervous. Sometimes people get nervous when I answer the phone.
Listen, give Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire a call. His number, 954 954-977-9445. He'll give you a quote right over the phone, 954-977-9445, online, friendlytire.net, or you can just stop right in. The address is listed at stevekaneshow.com, 5415 Northwest 15th Street in Margate, and that's just a little north of Coconut Creek Parkway on the east side.
It's worth the drive to Florida.
State Road 7. Well, Conservative Doug, thanks so much, and I'm glad you got such a great deal on your tires at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
Steve Kane Show.
For WWNN.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. You know, somebody in the YouTube live chat said that if they were in Florida, they would go to Friendly Tire. Well, let me tell you something. Some of our listeners from out of state have gone to Friendly Tire. The tire deals are that great. We had some listeners on our Steve Kane cruise in November, and they drove down, and they were driving back home after the cruise up north, and on their way they stopped in at Friendly Tire and got new tires. And we had a listener who was recently visiting from New York, and he drove down from New York and went over to Friendly Tire. I told him to buy a second set to take back to New York to put in the garage. The tire prices are that good over at Friendly Tire. You know, they have great deals on used tires, very good used tires, starting at just $30 for most sizes. On the new tires, you hear these great deals I talk about in the commercials, and they also have incredible deals on specialty tires. If you have run flats on your car, oh man, you are going to save boatloads of money at Friendly Tire. If you have a sports car, if you have a high-end car, if you have a luxury vehicle, if you have commercial vehicles and you need tires for your commercial fleet, call Friendly Tire. They have great deals on that. And I'll tell you, they have all the name brands you know and love too, right? Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, they have all those tires as well with incredible savings. Give Mike a call over there. He'll give you a quote right over the phone, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. All right, now coming up after the bottom of the hour, I'll tell you who this is when we get to it, but after the bottom of the hour, we're going to have a local reporter on, and there have been what I consider to be major developments in the Broward County sheriff's issues that have been discussed these past, I mean, here it is Wednesday. I mean, the things we're finding out about the sheriff are pretty shocking. I think they should be dealt with. And we have a reporter who, I read their story yesterday online about this in their publication, and they had some information, which I'll share with you when I get them on the air after the bottom of the hour break. They had some information there that is big game-changing information so far as this story involving Broward County Sheriff Gregory Tony. Now, I will tell you, if the sheriff would like to be on this program, we would love to have you either on the phone or in studio. We, here on the Steve Kane Show, going back to when I first started on the Steve Kane Show, we were always very close with sheriffs of Broward County. We had Sheriff Al Lamberti on this program in studio many times, and the late, great Sheriff Nick Navarro was here. It seemed like every week he was on the program for a long time in studio. So we are very pro-police. We are very pro-Broward Sheriff's Office. I mean, hey, if you live in South Florida, everybody knows somebody that's with BSO, right? How could you not? So we got a lot of great respect for our deputies, for the Sheriff's Department. Not always the sheriffs in particular. I mean, I'm no fan of Scott Israel, but it looks like he's probably going to be the sheriff again. And, you know, if that happens, and I was talking yesterday, you know, Governor DeSantis ran on the fact that he was going to remove Scott Israel from office. And removing an elected official is a pretty hardcore thing to do. I've seen it happen. Once Jeb Bush removed a former sheriff, Ken Jenney, but he was involved in criminal activity that led to him going to jail. And there was also the removal by Jeb of the supervisor of elections due to major incompetence that was going on. But that was some hardcore incompetence and corruption. I'm not a fan of Sheriff Scott Israel. He's a Democrat. I'm a conservative guy, you know, and I was friends with Sheriff Al Lamberti, so that maybe that I'm biased there. But I think maybe Governor DeSantis went a little overboard removing maybe a lot overboard, removing Scott Israel from office. He was elected, and he was not at the school during the shooting. Like, for example, that I mentioned this yesterday. The deputy at the scene that didn't go in, gone. That lady captain that set up the perimeter and didn't send the people in when they got there, gone. No question. They were there on the scene, and you know the story. Scott Israel was in his office at the Broward Sheriff's Office, and I think it was over, and it looks like he's going to be, if the current sheriff has to drop out of the race or leaves office, he's a Democrat, the current sheriff that our Republican governor appointed. It's a primary. They're facing a primary in August. The only two people on the list of candidates whose names I know are Scott Israel and the current sheriff, Greg Toney. And most people agree that without Sheriff Toney there, Scott Israel is going to win the primary. You win the Democrat primary in Democrat Broward County, they might as well swear him in as sheriff that day. It'll be pretty much a done deal, unless something miraculous happens. But he'll be the sheriff again. So if Sheriff Scott Israel is elected in November, and I think the odds favor him right now, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can happen. What would the governor do? Will he remove him again? Should he remove him again? Could he remove him again? Would it be right to remove him again after he was elected again? It's Governor DeSantis got himself in a mess. Because he wanted to have the support of some people that didn't like Sheriff Scott Israel and wanted him gone for reasons I understand, even though I think it might have been too heavy-handed. He ran promising it, so when he got elected, he did. He rushed to plug somebody into the position of sheriff, and they didn't vet the person very well. And some big things are coming out that really don't look good. And I'll tell you, Governor DeSantis, I've been talking about this since he was on the campaign trail. I believe President Trump is grooming Ron DeSantis to either be at the top or bottom of the ticket, and maybe even 2024 or 8, but he's being groomed for bigger things, not just the Senate. He's being groomed to be president or vice president. And this issue, it's amazing how these things happen. Removing Sheriff Scott Israel from office and appointing the current sheriff to replace him with these revelations that come out may stop Ron DeSantis from ever becoming vice president or a nominee at the top of the ticket either. Because even I understand it's staff and all that stuff, but the buck stops here, as the old saying goes. This issue with Scott Israel and the current sheriff will follow Governor Ron DeSantis for the rest of his political career if this story continues the way it's going with the current sheriff. And when we have our guest on after the bottom hour break, we'll talk more about it. But it was really, and I'm as big of a fan of Ron DeSantis as you can. I'm not as big of a fan of anyone as I am of President Trump, but I'm a big fan of Ron DeSantis. I like him. I think he's very good. And he's a great, Jeb was a great governor. Jeb has changed. Jeb is not the man he used to be. But when Jeb became governor, he did a lot of great things. And Ron DeSantis has been doing great things too. And I was very excited that we could have a president or a vice president from the state of Florida in the future. But this is going to follow him and haunt him for the rest of his political career. The stories with the current sheriff are in all the local news on television. I saw it on WSVN Channel 7, which is the #1 station in Miami, television station in Miami. The story's been in the New York Post. It's been in the Daily Mail. And when the governor came out yesterday, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but I saw yesterday him come out and address this. I thought the governor was weak. Thought he was weak. I think he should have taken a hardcore position. Hey, he wasn't vetted right. My vetters did a bad job. I'm sorry. If I would have known this, I wouldn't have. I find it impossible to believe that if the governor knew this, he would have appointed him. And things have gotten really bad for this sheriff because the former police chief of Coral Springs, who hired him as an officer, says that he wouldn't have hired him knowing this thing that happened in the past. So anyway, we got a guest coming up after the bottom of the hour, and their news organization, I'll tell you who they are when we get back, but they have some information in their story that I think is huge and a major development in the saga that's been going on this week of Broward County Sheriff Greg Toney. And I feel sorry for Greg Toney. I feel very sorry for his wife. You know, you get involved in politics, things get dirty, they get nasty, it's even embarrassing. And it's, you know, but it is what it is. And I think right now we can expect Scott Israel to be the sheriff again, which is very kind. He's a controversial man. I got to tell you, last Friday, when Steve and I got off the air last Friday, we went over to see our chiropractor, Dr. Troy Lemaski. Dr. Troy Lemaski is the brother of Dr. Janae Lemaski, our therapist. And I went in for a neck adjustment, neck and shoulder adjustment. A few weeks back, I guess about 6 weeks ago, I was having some severe back pain. Every time I would get up out of a chair or off the couch, I was hunched over in pain. I couldn't hardly stand up straight. And I went over to Dr. Troy Lemaski. He gave me one adjustment. The pain was gone. And not only that, my posture returned. I went home. I was like 2 inches tall. I went home and I picked up my daughter and we went to the store. We went to Publix. And she says, Dad, you're like 2 inches taller. Your posture is great today. And she didn't know I went to the chiropractor. And I'll tell you, not only did the pain go away in my lower back from that one adjustment from Dr. Troy Lemaski, it hasn't returned. I've been to many chiropractors. I stopped going about a decade ago because I would go to chiropractors and I wasn't getting the results that I expected, the results that I wanted, and sometimes it would even hurt. And I told this to Dr. Troy. I said, you know, he says most chiropractors don't really know how to do adjustments, and they make up for it in brute strength, you know, and he's very gentle, very gentle. And my lower back pain from that one adjustment from Dr. Troy Lemaski has not returned. And I had some neck pain and my shoulders were so stiff. You know, there's a global pandemic going on. So I get, you know, the stress catches up with you, and we're moving into our new studio. I had a busy week last week, and boom, my neck is great. My shoulders, all the tension gone. One adjustment. Listen, give Dr. Troy Lemaski a call. He is a miracle worker. That lower back pain was so bad. On the air, I didn't even get up during the breaks. I would sit down for 3 hours and not get up. I was in so much pain. Gone after one adjustment. He's listed at SteveKaneShow.com. His number, 954-463-3036. 954-463-3036. All right, let's take our break. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
This is Steve Kane for attorney Barry Siegel. Barry did a great job for me and my family when we needed a revocable living trust. Listen to one of our listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise Barry Siegel. And one of the most important things about sponsors is integrity. You have to know that you're dealing with an honest person. I had to go up to Myrtle Beach with my sister because her husband died, and I was helping her out. She had a trust and everything. She had not revised this trust since 1997. And you know, Barry says every 3 years at least you got to. I called Barry's office because I had a question. I let the secretary know. I'm calling from South Carolina.
Hey, Tom, it's Brian with the Steve Kane Show. Hi, is your last name Lauder, like Lauderdale? Oh, okay, great. Hold on. We'll be on the air in about 90 seconds.
Barry himself called me. I asked my questions and so on, and he answered. He was very patient. I was quite a while with him, and talking about a lot of things, you know, and this and that. But I wanted to say, you know, character, integrity. These are the most important things with sponsors, and all of your sponsors, because I've dealt with a lot of them. They all have that you can trust them and you know you're getting a fair shake.
Do what Ray did. Call attorney Barry Siegel right now. Toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. That's 1-855 toll free FLA 3782. Tell him Steve sent you.
You're stuck in your home and the dog days of summer are coming. It's already happening on the hot days in the late afternoon and early evenings. Your air conditioner is running more and more and may even run constantly, struggling to keep your home cool and hold the temperature that you have it set on. And in some homes, it can't even keep up, losing the battle. And the temperature in your house climbs and you're hot, humid, and uncomfortable. And to top it all off, your electric bill is about to double or even triple. Here comes summer. The cure is reflective and/or blown insulation. Stop the heat gain and cut your electric bill up to 35% off. Act now and get the
It's working fine. Yeah.
Our off-season sale. Act now. Save 50% on reflective and/or blown insulation and cut your electric bill up to 35%. Call Scott from CutMyKilowatts.com at 954-939-1500. That's 954-939-1500. CutMyKilowatts.com. Put your house in the shade today.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on...
All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on the radio since 1977. Now, the biggest local story in a long time is going on right now. The sheriff of Broward County in a heated primary race against Scott Israel that was removed from the governor is getting really interesting. We've got, he shot and killed a man when he was 14. Now we're finding out he's involved in some eyes wide shut like sex club in Miami Beach. It's getting crazy. And on the line, we have Tom Lauder. He's with Broward.com, which is a local Broward news site that I do follow and have for quite some time. Hey, Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Good. Now, before we get into the stuff about the sheriff, tell people about Red Broward. I'm assuming by red, that's for Republican.
Started out that way, been around since 2010, so 10 years of covering local and state politics. And we take on all, of course in Broward you have mainly Democratic politicians, but we take on both sides, trying to expose anybody who's taking advantage of their position or crony capitalism, all that kind of stuff that goes on.
Yeah, that's every day. Broward County politics is as corrupt as Cook County, Chicago. It really is. We just don't get all the hype that Chicago gets, and that's not an exaggeration at all. Well, listen, I'm glad to have you here, and I've been following Red Broward for a long time, probably since you guys went online and first heard about you guys. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis made a big screw up. I mean, they obviously did not vet the current sheriff, and it's really shocking. We find out Monday morning that he shot and killed a man when he was 14, sheriff says in self-defense, and then yesterday we have this sex scandal, maybe even a swingers ring going on here. Where did these revelations come from, would you guess?
Well, let's go back to the killing.
Yeah.
93 minutes 14. The Florida Bulldog, which is a local investigative website led by Dan Christensen, who was a longtime Miami Herald reporter, said he obtained a police report about the incident. And that's how that all started.
Yeah, but I know, and he does good work. I know who he is, and I'm familiar with his work. And actually, he was on. I saw him on Channel 7 this week talking about it. But somebody had to give it to him. You're talking about a 14-year-old, a minor. These kind of records are sealed. I mean, how did all of a sudden did this guy get the police report? Would you think of something that obviously Ron DeSantis, Coral Springs PD, when they hired Gregory Tony, didn't have? How do you think it ended up in his hands? This Philadelphia police report of a minor.
Well, it's just speculation on my part, but when this whole shutdown, pandemic, quarantine started, the sheriff had a pretty big public battle with one of the unions representing the deputies. They ended up suspending the head, Jeff Bell.
Big mistake.
Yeah, and that created a lot of national police union criticism of Sheriff Tony. So it's not that shook something loose that in Philadelphia and made its way down south.
A lot of people think that it was Scott Israel's campaign probably did investigating and found I mean, if you look at the list of who's running in the primary, they're all people I've never heard of except Scott Israel and Greg Tony, and that probably Scott Israel's campaign uncovered this and gave it to the Florida Bulldog.
Well, I mean, politics, everyone dumps opposition research all the time to try to hurt their opponent. Sure, Scott Israel, he was the sheriff. He always had a big team of political operatives. But
Oh yeah.
There was a colonel there. He's running as well. He's got a pretty good presence on social media, and he's got a campaign's pretty well organized in attacking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Broward Sheriff's race has always been nasty. I mean, who's ever running, I go back to the Nick Navarro days, but it's always been rough no matter who's running. And I'll tell you, I'm not criticizing Scott Israel if his team uncovered this. I think it's a good thing that this was uncovered, and I'm very upset with the current sheriff because he's embarrassed our governor, and this story is going to follow him forever. But the reason I called you up, I was reading Red Broward, and you had at Red Broward the local news reports on this shooting with Sheriff Tony in Philadelphia back in '93. And when I read the local news stories, the account in the local news stories was much different than what the sheriff's response was when he said self-defense. It seemed in the local news stories not clear self-defense. And I saw you had those original stories at Red Broward. That's why I called you up.
Yeah, actually the family members of the victim, Hector Rodriguez, in the shooting, they posted a lot of that stuff on social media. And they had the clips of the Philadelphia Inquirer and the Philadelphia Daily News from 1990. And these are your basic reporting, crime reports. So it's a reporter taking notes, asking for facts. Not really, there is no opinion, there is no political spin to anything. It's just a fact. And the reporting at the contemporaneous reporting varies greatly from what the sheriff's trying to do.
Yeah. And I'll tell, I don't know how he could not, but I want to read through some of this story from the Philadelphia Daily News that you have at Red Broward, by the way, redbroward.com. And, this story, this original reporting, I trust more because this is before there were politics involved. This was just local news reporting, interviewing local people, putting the story in there. So I think what was in the local paper, even though I don't trust our local papers like the Sun Sentinel too much, but this original reporting on the shooting that the sheriff says was complete self-defense, I trust the original reporting on this more than anything because there's no bias as to trying to help someone or tar someone else's reputation. Let me read some of this to you. This is on your site, redbroward.com, a screenshot of a story from the Philadelphia Daily News back in '93. It says here, on a tiny trash-strewn street in North Philadelphia where graffiti and desperation cover buildings and souls, 2 young lives were blown apart Monday by a .32 caliber revolver. One, Hector Rodriguez, an 18-year-old high school dropout, eldest of 5 children, father of a 5-month-old child, was shot dead, police said. The other, a 14-year-old friend, identified by family as Gregory Scott Tony, who surrendered to police yesterday with his lawyer. He was charged with murder, so he was actually charged. So now we know, without question, he lied on his application to the Coral Springs Police Department because he was arrested and charged with murder and related offenses and is being held without bail pending a hearing. Police were uncertain what sparked the killing, but the word on the street was that some lighthearted joking between the 2 friends turned ugly. Rodriguez's mother, Norma, said the 2 were hanging out in the front of Gregory's house on Hutchinson Street shortly before 4 p.m. 2 pipers, slang for crack addicts, come walking by. Chino says, "There goes your uncles." Tony says, "Don't play like that with my family, man." He didn't like that kind of talk, the mother of the victim said. The sheriff's father, William Scott, comes into the story now. He said his son apparently came inside the house, grabbed the revolver that he kept hidden under his mattress. That's the best place to keep it, his father said. "I got the gun 6-7 months ago for protection." Scott couldn't recall if the gun was loaded at the time, but said his son probably knew where to find the bullets. "I saw the 2 of them together 20 minutes earlier," the father said. "They were laughing and talking. Next thing I know, I hear shots and see this kid lying in the street." 1 hour later, I heard my son that did it. Now, the sheriff's story was that he was chased into his house by this guy at gunpoint, and he ran into the house, grabbed his dad's gun, shot him dead in self-defense. This local story it doesn't sound anything like that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. The sheriff's current explanation doesn't match that story at all. And the other article gives similar facts. There's plenty. He makes it sound like it was very immediate. It happened. The threat, his response. Here, he has to go inside to get the gun. He has to find the bullet to load the gun.
Yeah.
Back outside, then he shoots him multiple times. And the father, who was there on the scene, gives no clue that there was some sort of confrontation or the son was worried. It's just like they were laughing. Next thing I know, they're down the street dead.
Yeah.
Sheriff's explanation doesn't match the facts.
Well, I mean, would you say based on this that the sheriff is lying?
I would say his memory. First of all, he says he doesn't remember all the details, and so his.
How convenient. Yeah. I mean, when Bill Clinton said, the reason, that's a lawyer's trick, because if you don't have a recollection, you're not perjuring yourself. No one can prove whether or not you have a recollection. That's a lawyer's trick. I don't appreciate that at all.
And I think he's been playing word games the whole time, because he did this with the story of the bad checks. He kind of claimed that he wasn't aware of it at some point.
Wait a minute, I didn't know about this one. What about bad checks?
Apparently, when he was at Florida State, he had written a check for school books or something, and
oh my goodness!
So there were some charges, and his explanation was, well, yeah, but I didn't remember. I was charged. I didn't know any.
Wow. I'll tell you, I was talking about this on the show yesterday. A lot of time with Ron DeSantis. A lot of time, I'm a big fan of Ron DeSantis, big Trump. There's no one is a greater fan of the president than I am, I promise you. And I love Ron DeSantis, who's been backed and supported by our president. But a lot of times, Republicans, when someone's a minority, black or Hispanic, they don't bother. They get so excited that there's someone who's a minority that agrees with them that they elevate people that shouldn't be elevated, whether it's Marco Rubio or in this instance, Sheriff Tony. I mean, bad checks. This shooting does not sound anything like self-defense. I mean, he should be out. And you know what? DeSantis should be leading the charge to get rid of him, at least out of the race.
Well, the governor on Monday basically threw one of the bus saying, he's no ally of mine.
I don't even know the guy. It's not like he's my sheriff, he said. I mean, that's pretty brutal.
And the Sun Sentinel editorial yesterday kind of laid out some of the facts we're talking about.
Steve Kane show.
There might have been a reporting, but there was a very short time between when he was announced. They only had like a day to do any vetting.
Oh, wow.
Vetting. A lot of the questions are, because in that story that he went from the Philadelphia Daily News, the name is different. Tony is spelled different. It's hyphenated, and they have uncovered in the Sun with Tony spelled with an E as well. So there's some questions.
Yeah, plus he was a minor, and those records get sealed, but he did. Coral Springs former police chief that hired him said he lied on the application. I saw the applicant on television. And that's that. Now, listen, we got to take a break. Can you hold over during the break? Because we got this Eyes Wide Shut sex club that he's a part of that we got to talk about. We're on the line with Tom Lauder. He's with RedBroward.com. I've been following him for years. It's a local Broward County political news website. And we'll be back with Tom after the break. But let's check in with Scott from Cut My Kilowatts, who's got a way to save you incredible amounts of money. I was just thinking about you, Scott, and Cut My Kilowatts, because the air conditioning here in the radio studio just popped on. And every time the AC comes on, I think of you, because when you come out to someone's home and you do what it is you do, that air conditioning popping on doesn't happen as often, which saves them big money on electric bills, right?
Yeah, Steve, actually, the radiant barrier is the coolest thing you can do to your house to make your house cooler than it's ever been before, and literally cut your AC's runtime in half. And, a lot of people have insulation in their homes, but very few people actually have radiant barrier. And what radiant barrier does is it lowers the temperature of your whole attic, by 20, 30, 40 degrees. I mean, literally the attic can get as high as 140 degrees there in the afternoon, especially if you have an asphalt shingle roof or a dark colored tile roof. If you've got a light colored tile roof that's white, reflective, that people buy that. They spend a lot of money on those roofs because they cut their electric bill. What the radiant barrier does is it lets you have your roof perform just like a white tile reflective roof without having to have a white tile reflective roof or changing your roof. And you can convert your home over to an energy efficient reflective roof for $1 a square foot. And that's a huge deal. And normally I figure the pitch of the roof and charge for all the square footage of the roof. But with this pandemic sale and the 50% off, I'm just charging $1 a square foot for the actual square foot.
Yeah. That's great. Great deal. And Scott, it's absolutely amazing. What is the average temperature inside of someone's attic or crawl space in their home in South Florida in August without the radiant barrier? And they have insulation and everything, but they don't have the radiant barrier that you offer. What's the average temp?
The average temp is probably 120 to 140 degrees.
Oh man.
And whether they have a shingle or a tile roof. And the thing about insulation is insulation doesn't make the attic any cooler. It just blocks the heat from coming into your house. So you have to have really.
Yeah, and what happens is the radiant barrier lowers the temperature from 140 down, 30, 40 degrees less than that. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's right. And I'll tell you, I do store stuff in my attic, and I'll go up there during the summer, and some of you guys will know this. I'm in my attic 30 seconds. I come out, it looks like I took a shower fully clothed. It's that hot up there. And what happens is your AC ducts are in your attic. So without the radiant barrier, your AC ducts are getting that 140 degree heat during the summer, which means your AC has to cool the air in that 140 degree air duct. With the radiant barrier, that problem goes away. Listen, give Scott a call. Yeah, go ahead, Scott. It's got to be soon because, June's coming up, and after June, we're done with the heat will kill you. So give Scott, sounds like a great idea, Scott. Give Scott a call. The number rings directly to Scott's cell phone, so you're going to get him directly. If you get his voicemail, he'll call you right back, I promise. 954-939-1500. 954-939-1500. That's Scott with Cut My Kilowatts. All right, Scott, you take care. We'll talk tomorrow. All right. Yeah, thank you. Make sure you guys give him a call. All right, let's go back to our guest. We have Tom Lauder on the line from redbroward.com, local Broward County news and political website. We're talking about the scandals of Broward County Sheriff Greg Toney. And in that last segment, this shooting does not sound like self-defense based on the original reporting in Philadelphia. And then yesterday, we get this sex club scandal. Can you tell people a little bit about this VIP Bliss, Tom?
Yeah, I got the information from an operative. They've been a steady campaign to expose some of these things about Sheriff Toney, and they had found pictures of a club based mainly in Miami. They come to Fort Lauderdale, but it's for women, and they call bisexual couples, which is sort of like a swinger site. They brag how they only take fit attractive individuals. They're very strict, and they have parties at clubs and strip clubs, hotel pools, and everyone's very scantily clad or topless. And a lot of them, they posted pictures from their parties, and that's where Sheriff Toney was.
Yeah. So, I've seen the photographs, and they're pretty embarrassing, especially the one with the guy having his head on his chest with his wife on the other side. They're embarrassing photos. But here he's with his wife. It's not even an extramarital thing. Is this sex swingers club Bliss? Is that? Do you think that's something that should be a disqualifier for him to be sheriff? It's consensual. He's with his wife. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, usually I tend to avoid anything about people's private lives because as long as it's consensual and it's adults, fine, it's your business. But here, I've been told, and I found comments on some sheriff deputies' message boards that he'd been asked about it 3 months ago, and he said he's very cavalier at the notion of these pictures getting out there, like, so what? And it goes back to this whole, he doesn't seem to think that these issues about his reputation or his past have any bearing.
Yeah. Well, with the things that he's doing with his wife, I mean, we don't have any evidence they're swingers, but it looks like a modern swingers club to me. The problem with a situation like that is there's no way that there are parties like that in Miami with all of these hot, good-looking people and everything, and there's not all kinds of other activities going on. And for somebody in law enforcement to be in a situation like that is not good. There have been incidents. There was an incident about 15 years ago or so where a swingers club was raided here in Pompano, and there were 2 school teachers there, and they were terminated. And what happens is when stories like this become public, it's hard for people to effectively do their job as a teacher or as law enforcement. And while these clubs are not illegal and it's consensual with the wife, to me it shows poor judgment on the man that he would get involved in such things and accept this appointment by DeSantis to be the sheriff and then run of Broward.
Yeah, people can say all they want about how forward-thinking they are these days. When something like this comes out, just like with the teachers, or there was an incident in Fort Lauderdale where a swing club wanted to be located on a street that had been developed. People just go back to their more conservative thinking, and they don't like it. They don't like situations, and it creates a distraction, or it brings detriment and embarrassment to the organization, which if it was any other deputy who was bringing embarrassment or any bad attention to the department, they might be open.
It wasn't that long ago you couldn't be a deputy if you had a tattoo. And and the thing about this in the swinger club scene, typically it's private, it's confidential, might be a party at home or a private club. He's out there posing for photographs that are being posted on a public website. So that's poor judgment for someone. So what's going to happen here? Is Greg Tony? Is he going to continue in the race? Is he going to continue as sheriff? Will he run? Will he ride out the rest of this term and disappear? What do you think is going to happen with Sheriff Greg Tony?
Well, it's like what's next? He said nothing new will come to light.
Oh yeah.
I've been told that might not be the case. So,
really? Can you give us a sneak peek of what you?
Have any details on it? I was just told to stay tuned.
Well, let me tell you what's going on this week. What's going on with the sheriff this week? These are all warnings to him to get him to drop out. They may let him finish out his term without resigning, but the longer he stays in the race, the more that's going to come out. And what my guess would be is what's going to happen is there's no doubt in my mind that at parties like this in Miami, there's not shady people doing shady things. And what will happen is they'll find some of those people and guilt by association. I mean, that's things like that will come out. And I'll tell you, I do expect to hear from the family of the guy he shot back in '93 in the local press down here. I expect that to be coming. He's done, and it's. I feel bad for the guy. I feel bad for his wife. It's humiliating. He's done, and so if he's out, Israel wins the primary. Does Scott Israel become sheriff again in November?
Well, again, he's got some competition still other than Tony.
But come on, bunch of nobodies. This guy's the political. Scott Israel is so hooked up in the political machine. I got a call from a listener a couple days ago that talked about the incredible outreach Scott Israel's been doing in the black community with the black ministers and black leaders. If he becomes sheriff again, can Ron DeSantis remove him again?
I don't know. I don't think the governor would continually do that.
What a humiliation for DeSantis.
Because you get into the situation where the will of the voters kind of argument. And the governor signaled on Monday that he's going to let the voters decide in August.
Yeah.
Tony, so.
Well, DeSantis ran on removing Scott Israel. I mean, in retrospect, I think it was overreaction. He should have let the voters decide anyway. I mean, he wasn't at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas during the shooting. I mean, he was at his office at the BSO headquarters. I mean, but he ran on this, and he wanted to get the support of people that wanted him removed, like Andrew Pollack and others, and he did what he said he would do when he was running, remove the sheriff. It was a political thing he did, and it was a big... See, I think, Tom, that this is going to be his undoing forever. Before you joined us, I believe President Trump is grooming Ron DeSantis to be president or vice president one day, 24, 28. This is going to follow him forever. And this Tony with the sex club and the shooting, it's never going to go away, and it's going to have long-term... It may stop him from being able to get the nomination in the future. This is going to follow Ron DeSantis for the rest of his career.
We have to figure out what Sheriff Tony... Because if he has been hiding this, then it's going to...
Well, he has.
It's more than just not telling, because for some reason it's not showing up in some of the betting, and that just signals to me that he was confident that it wouldn't show up. That's why he took that case, because he should have. Yeah, there were two chances on the Coral Springs application. There was, have you ever been arrested, detained? And he said no.
Lie.
But have you ever been arrested and expunged?
Lied. Yeah.
So he was pretty confident at the time that he wouldn't be found out. I'd like to know why he was so confident.
Yeah.
Talking on social media, they're talking about he had a high-priced lawyer, so...
Well, the one that said MFer to the reporters, I read in one of the papers. I don't know. Where'd she learn that at? I don't know. But, the thing with the sheriff, I don't want to judge a man based on something that happened when he was 14 years old, but when he was an adult, he lied on his application to the Coral Springs Police Department. And that enough, if I were advising Governor Ron DeSantis, I would advise the governor to lead the charge and calling for him to drop out of the race. He's got to get in front of this, or it's going to be his undo. I'm more concerned about DeSantis than the sheriff, as much as I feel bad for him. But and he's done after this. I mean, he's not going to have any political friends because he embarrassed the governor. That's it. I mean, he's done. He's no more law enforcement, no more political friends. He's very close friends with Andrew Pollack from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. I would imagine that's going to be done too, because I find it impossible to believe that Andrew Pollack knew about any of this stuff.
Tony's power right now isn't being the sheriff. He's got a big PAC behind him that's funded by a lot of the Parkland families, and I haven't checked their latest numbers, but they have raised a lot of money, enough to compete with the money Sheriff Scott Israel.
Yeah, but when you got stories like this, you're getting all this free publicity. Listen, when the story first came out of the shooting, what the sheriff said sounded like clear self-defense. That was nothing to me. No, I mean, that was good. I thought, well, hey, that's great. He was able to save his life and his brother. But now we're getting a different version of events. We're getting the lying on the applications. It's sad. It's terrible thing. Well, listen, we've been talking on the line here for the last half hour to Tom Lauder of redbroward.com. Go check them out. Redbroward.com is a great online news source, a lot of local politics. I also get into things outside of local. I've been going there for many years. And Tom, as this story develops, we got to have you back, especially when these new things that you're talking about are going to be coming out with the sheriff. I look forward to that. So thanks for joining us. All right, thank you. redbroward.com. All right. Oh, man. I'd take some calls. I've been talking a lot today, a lot of topics. Feel free to, we're going to take our break for the top. In the third and final hour, feel free to call in and discuss any of the things that we brought up on the program today. Our number toll free from anywhere, 1-888-GO-CANE-1, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll be back right after this.
5.3 FM, 96.9 FM, 103.9 FM, and AM 1470 WWNN Pompano Beach.
Is it blurry? Let me take a look on my iPad.
Came for attorney Barry Siegel. Barry did a great job for me and my family when we needed a revocable living trust. Listen to one of our listeners, Ray, talk about his experience with Barry Siegel.
I want to praise
Okay,
Barry
hold on. Just give me a second.
important things about
I should do it.
the trust and everything. She had not revised this trust since 1997.
Got it.
And you know, Barry says every 3 years at least you gotta. I called Barry's office because I had a question. I let the secretary know. I said, look, I'm calling from South Carolina. I know the laws are different, and I'm just asking for information for my system. Now, you know, most people would just blow you off, right? You know, almost immediately, within a few minutes, Barry himself called me. I asked my questions and so on, and he answered. He was very patient. And I was quite a while with him, and talking about a lot of things, you know, and this and that. But I wanted to say, you know, character, integrity, these are the most important things with sponsors, and all of your sponsors.
Oh man, what was that? I saw my name.
They all have that you can trust them.
Looks normal again. Look great. Yeah. Well, you guys got to let me know because I can't fix it if I don't know.
Now, toll free 1-855-FLA-3782. That's 1-855 toll free FLA-3782. Tell them Steve sent you. We are chatting today with Frank, the owner of 2 magnificent Ace Hardware stores. One, Deerfield Beach, 365 South Federal Highway, about a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough on the west side of Federal Highway. And the other, Beach Ace Hardware, located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, half a block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the sea. How many years have you owned this business?
I've been in the hardware business for over 40 years, Steve.
If I have a
Lurie Bryan.
project that I'm doing, there are so many around.
When it gets like that, I can't tell because I'm not
What's
watching the
difference in
feed.
my experience, if I go to Ace Hardware as opposed to these major impersonal chain stores?
Oh, there's a huge difference. The basic difference is customer service. We're an old-time fashion hardware store. We have experienced people that are working our stores. Our employees are just top-notch. They're very experienced. They know their business. When you're doing a project, you can come into the store and you can get somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody that will like to work with you, to find you the right project, the right pieces, the first time, so you can get in and out with the right material.
There are lots of Ace Hardware stores, but there are only 2 that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deerfield location, a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal, and of course the Beach Ace Hardware located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, a half block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the sea. Very, very special locations. Be sure to mention Steve Kane sent you.
Hey ladies, obviously not the Beastie Boys, but it is Dr. Matez here. Are you tired of being tired? Are you sick of feeling sick? Are you frustrated with your weight? Wish you had a libido? Or the sex life you used to have? If this sounds like you, I'm sorry to tell you that you are suffering the ravages of the process known as menopause. But I'm thrilled to tell you that with my 2 decades of experience in age management medicine, I offer safe and effective therapies that will completely reverse the menopausal process and eliminate your symptoms. If you want to feel good again, if you want to look good again, and if you want to feel young again, call me as soon as possible at the Boca Raton Center for Age Management at 561-953-5490. That's 561-953-5490, or visit our website at hormonetherapybocaraton.com.
You are listening to South Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. To call the show toll free.
Yes. All right. Not Steve. Steve will be back tomorrow. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to The Steve Kane Show, though. Florida's longest running radio show. Steve will be back in studio with me tomorrow. Welcome back, everyone. And I want to throw this out. Third and final hour has begun. I'm going to move on to some other topics, but I do want to throw out an invitation to anyone connected to the Broward County Sheriff, Tony, to come on the program, either on the phone or in studio. That goes for the sheriff, a campaign spokesperson, the attorney for the sheriff, anyone connected to the Broward County Sheriff that wants to come on the show. You are welcome. And I really have no vested interest in this. I'm not a fan of Scott Israel. I'm a Republican. I'm not a fan of Democrats. I know the current sheriff's a Democrat, but, you know, come on. But, I can't even vote in Broward, okay, because I'm not a Broward resident. But in all fairness, I would like to offer the opportunity for the sheriff himself or a designated spokesperson, representative to be on the show And you can get in touch with me very easily. Just go to stevekaneshow.com, Kane, and shoot me an email, and I will call you. And or contact me through Twitter, Brian Craig Show on Twitter. Send me a DM there. I will get back to you. But I would, in all fairness, I would like to hear both sides of this. And you know, that's that. All right, now this sex scandal involving Joe Biden. It you know, it seems so ridiculous to me. Out of all of Biden's problems, the sex allegations, the sex assault allegations, are the least of his problems. Some of this yesterday, you know, the thing, and the reason a lot of people say, "What do you mean? You know, she was violent." Well, we're never going to know what happened. I don't care when they go through his records if they find filing cabinets of records about this incident. We are never going to know. It's always going to boil down to he said, she said. We're never going to know. There are things that we know about Biden for sure that are not open for debate. He's a corrupt public official. He's on tape talking about the shakedown he did on Ukraine. Boom. I mean, that he was bragging about it. It's all over the place. Biden is suffering from advanced dementia of some kind. I don't know what kind, but he's not there mentally at all. And those issues are not up for debate. Those are facts, especially the cognition issue. I mean, no one can debate that. And all of this focus on the he said, she said, I don't really get it. I really don't get it when you have these other issues, in particular his mental decline, that are not even debatable. I don't get it, but everyone's talking about it. Now, a huge story has developed, and I was very surprised to see this yesterday, about investigations into the sex scandals at NBC News and NBC Television involving Matt Lauder and others. And this is huge. And it's interesting that this story came out yesterday. At least, we knew about Matt Lauder and some claims over there. But the latest, an investigation by the Attorney General in New York, that's new. And at least new to me. I found out about this story yesterday. I'll read you the story in the Daily Mail in a moment. But over the last week, MSNBC has been leading the charge on the Joe Biden sex assault claims. It started with Chris Hayes at night, and then Mika on Morning Joe really grilled Biden on that interview. Remember, you saw that? I saw it. Not live, because it's on when I'm on the radio. I know none of you watch that show live, but because I'm on the air then. But, they were out of character with the heat they were putting on Biden because he's one of them. He's a Democrat, just like the rest of MSNBC. And people were wondering, well, why? I guess they want to bring in Governor Cuomo during the convention and have a brokered convention, and they're setting the stage for that. And I guess that was all wrong. I guess the reason is because of this investigation. This is in the Daily Mail. Listen to this. The New York Attorney General is investigating NBC News over claims of historical sexual assault. Yeah, what happened with Lewinsky wasn't sexual assault. That was a consensual thing in the workplace. But this says claims of historical sexual assault. The Daily Mail has learned exclusively. The revelation comes one day after it was announced that NBC chairman Andy Lack is out. More than a dozen women have been interviewed by officials from a civil division department dubbed the Weinstein Unit, after Harvey Weinstein. In an exclusive interview with the Daily Mail, former NBC News anchor Linda Vester said she was one of the women interviewed about alleged violations at the network. You guys remember Linda Vester? I remember her. What happened to her? I don't know. She says this: they wanted to know as many details as I could offer about what Andy Lack's involvement was in orchestrating a public response against me and a defense or cover-up. He was one of many, she revealed. Sources told the Daily Mail the unit has been looking into claims of sexual harassment and discrimination at the network for at least 6 months. Former TV host Linda Vester, now age 54, was interviewed in January over her alleged assault at the hands of ex-nightly news anchor Tom Brokaw. Oh my goodness. That's a name I wasn't expecting. I was expecting sexual harassment because he's like an old-timer like Chris Matthews, and it's like, hey there, good looking, what you got cooking? Something ridiculous, But this, it says here, She was interviewed over alleged assault at the hands of ex-Nightly News anchor Tom Brokaw. Oh, my goodness. And they still have him on over there all the time. She claimed in 2018 the veteran anchor had pinned her against the wall and attempted to kiss her on 2 separate occasions. Megyn Kelly was also interviewed by the Attorney General's office, although her reps would not confirm her involvement. Vester said she had an hours-long session with investigators and was also asked about a cover-up culture at NBC. Speaking exclusively to the Daily Mail, she says, I was one of numerous women and men who have been interviewed by the State Attorney General's Civil Division about alleged violations of the state's human rights law regarding sexual harassment and gender discrimination at NBC News. They were very interested because all of us had information about women who had been harassed or retaliated against or both or were discriminated against. She added, they asked me to retell not just the initial harassment I had experienced, but also more importantly, they wanted to know about Chairman Andy Lack and what I knew about his involvement in retaliation against me. Wow. The investigation comes after NBC parted ways with Lack on Monday. In November 2017, it goes into Matt Lauer stuff. You know, the first time I saw this, I'm sure it's been going on for a long time, the first time I saw this type of hypocrisy from the left, because NBC News and MSNBC is the left, I mean, does anyone disagree with that, was back in the days of Bill Clinton. And, you know, it was a very interesting thing what happened with feminism with Bill Clinton. There was an organization which was very prominent. They're still in existence, but you don't hear from them anymore. Now, National Organization for Women. The National Organization for Women. And the National Organization for Women and other feminists were defending Bill Clinton, and there was a lot of confusion among the left. You see that now with Biden, like Pelosi doesn't want to talk about it. I believe Biden. They all believe Biden. Case closed and all this stuff. All of these sexual harassment rules, laws, regulations that are in society today were brought to us by the left as a way, in their mind, to go after this culture of male Republicans. And it started with Bill Clinton back in '93, and it continues today, all these years later, time and time again. More often than not, it's always liberals that are getting jammed up with all of these sexual harassment in the workplace things that the liberals were champions of. You see, on occasion you'll hear a Republican, not often, on occasion, but isn't it always mostly a Democrat? Matt Lauer, Harvey Weinstein, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton. It's almost always a Democrat. Rarely is it a Republican. When it's a Republican, it's more of an exception to the rule than the rule. So, you know, it kind of goes back to rules for radicals. Saul Alinsky. Saul Alinsky says, accuse your enemy of doing what you are doing. And I guess this kind of fits into that, doesn't it? It's disgraceful. And, you know, the journalist in particular, because this is something that you're seeing at MSNBC and NBC News. These are the people, the leftists, that call out our president. You know, the worst thing sexually President Trump was accused of, the worst thing was that he had a consensual sexual relationship with Stormy Daniels. He denied it. I believe him. He's a germ freak. You think he's going to go have sex with a porn actress? I don't think so. But the worst he was accused of, President Trump, was consensual sex. What we're hearing from the left is anything but consensual. Linda Vester, that's an assault. Joe Biden, that's an assault. These despicable stories, disgusting stories with Matt Lauer. None of these are consensual, but it's always the left that are accusing Republicans of doing what? What they're really doing. All right, let's take our break. Those of you that have been calling, I apologize. If you'd like to call back in, please do. I know there's a lot going on today. I haven't left much time for callers because there's so much in the news. It's hard to go to the calls sometimes when there's so much to discuss. It's 17 minutes after 8 o'clock in the morning. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Let's take our break, and we will be back right after this.
You've heard Steve Kane, Richie the bus driver, and many other Steve Kane listeners tell you about the great work Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental Care offers. Steve Kane listener, hey, called in, he had an accident, he went to Dr. Gupta, and he told us his story.
Good morning, Brian. My name's Hank. I'm calling from Hollywood. Brian, I'm calling you for a different thing. About a month or so ago, I called first thing in the morning because I fainted coming out of my bathroom, and I busted my 3 front teeth.
Welcome, everyone. Make sure you subscribe.
But I guess I fainted, I fell, I cracked my chin, it hit my upper teeth, and I cracked my 3 front teeth. I want to thank you, and I really want to thank Dr. Gupta. I mean, besides the fact that my teeth look great, besides the fact that, you know, his assistant is really good, really nice, they're all really nice over there, the price was unbelievable. When I came home,
Steve Kane Show.
She's like, I thought that thing was going to cost you 3 times as much.
Hey,
I said, so did I. And I just want to thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Gupta. He's awesome. Appreciate your show. I listen to your show a lot. I only called in this is the second time. Both times, one was to make sure I'm going to the right office where Dr. Gupta was, and then this one to let you know that he's great. I know you know he's
I got to bring my
great.
back scratcher in. My back itches.
The system is great. The prices are great. Everything is great.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, I'm glad you had a great experience with Dr. Gupta.
Thank you again, Brian.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and thank Eve, and you guys keep up the good work over there. I appreciate it. Dr. Gupta, you keep up the good work, too.
All right, there we go.
So everybody keep up.
All right, I think you guys just heard what will be the new commercial for Dr. Gupta. Do what Hank did. Call Dr. Gupta at Brighton Dental. For Steve Kane listeners, free consultations. And always the best price. Give Dr. Gupta a call right now. 954-922-4633. 954-922-4633.
Listen to The Steve Kane Show. Live in morning.
That's right. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. I got to tell everyone about any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs, where they guarantee the lowest price on all of their thousands of lab tests in this town. Indeed, they do. Oh, man, they are great. They are really great. You know, there are a lot of any lab test nows, but only 2 advertising on The Steve Kane Show. Any lab test now of Boca and any lab test now of Coral Springs. Same owner, both locations, and the prices are so low. I'll give you a couple of examples. Cholesterol testing, which I go in for regularly. Now, this is total cholesterol. The LDL, the HDL, the triglycerides, $49. Great deal, right? PSA test, $49. CBC, $49. You'll find similar savings on all of their thousands of lab tests. And it's a lot more convenient than going into the doctor a lot of, in this time, going to the doctor is a hassle. Oh my goodness. I had to take my wife to the ENT yesterday. What a deal. We had to wait in the car. We would call. They called us, and then we had to go into a special holding area. It was a mess. It took hours, And a lot of times, you don't want to go through the time that it takes to go see your primary care physician, or even one of the big labs that takes forever. That you hear, which ones I'm talking about. Quest, LabCorp. Supposed to just say the big labs, Quest Lab. You go there, you wait 2 hours, 90 minutes, 2.5 hours, even when you got an appointment. And you go to your doctor, and takes a couple hours. Any lab test now of Boca Raton, any lab test now of Coral Springs, in and out in 15 minutes or less. No doctor's order needed, no prescription. They guarantee the lowest price on all of their tests. They will send the results directly to your physician if you would like, okay? So that your doctor can look at your results and send you that prescription that you need. It's great. So listen, any lab test now at Coral Springs is located, of course, in Coral Springs on the southeast corner of University Drive in Ramblewood, right across the street from that Ramblewood Wings Plus. Any lab test now of Boca is in the Sandalfoot Plaza in Boca. That's where the Western Beef is, on the east side of State Road 7, 441, between Palmetto and Hillsborough. Let me give you the number for the Boca location. You can call this number for either location. They can help you. Both locations listed at stevekaneshow.com. If you miss it, 561-237-5009. 561-237-5009. Make sure you mention you heard about them on the radio. All right, let's go to Ray in Sunrise. Hey, Ray.
Hey, Brian. How you doing? I was waiting for Steve, but I guess he's not in today. But what I want to do, I'm playing golf tomorrow morning, so I can't call. So I want to wish Steve a happy birthday.
Ah.
Tomorrow.
How did you know it was Steve's birthday? How did you know that?
I have a little book that I keep. I know your birthday on Hitler's birthday.
Mine's easy. My birthday's the same day as Hitler, April 20th. Mine's easy.
Yeah, well, we wish Steve a happy and a very healthy.
Oh yeah, of course. That's why he's not here today. It's because it's his birthday. I worked on my birthday. Yeah. All right. Appreciate it. All right. Take care. I know. I could use a couple days off. I really could. I'm pretty burned out, really, actually. I would like to have taken a couple. I'd like to take like a Friday and a Monday off and get a long weekend. But I just can't do it. Yeah, today is Steve's birthday. That's right. I'll let him tell you how old he is when he's here tomorrow. All right, well, let me get to some of my sound bites. You know, there's been a big development here in Florida with the reopening of Florida. And again, I am for the complete opening of everything except the schools. Open it all up. I think it's a free country. I think people, for the most part, are pretty rational and will take precautions that they want to take or need to take, you know, with everything that's going on. So, you know, I'm not into this phase 1, phase 2, and then phase 3. I'm for just opening it up and letting people do what they want to do. Now, Governor DeSantis opened the whole state up into phase 1 except Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach, because Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach did not want to open up, so they weren't part of the order. And, you know, Broward County has always followed whatever Dade County does, always. And Palm Beach, and they've had this Democrat confederacy of counties here in South Florida. We're not going to open up. They're like the governor of Michigan. Well, Palm Beach is different. Palm Beach had a county commission vote. It was 5-1. One jerk on the council voted no on this, but it passed. And the Broward County Commission has, they're sending notice to the governor to sign an executive order to open up Palm Beach County like the rest of Florida is. So it'll only be a matter of time before Broward, because Broward and Palm Beach, I cross that county line pretty much every day, a couple times a day. A lot of people do. You know, Broward, so this is spectacular. They're going to start with the beaches. Palm Beach, we don't have a date on it yet. I think it'll move quick. I said the other day, when the rest of Florida opens up and people see what's going on, there's going to be pressure put on these Democrat counties. So I'm glad that Palm Beach County has woken up and they want to open up now. It's ridiculous. You know, people are wearing their masks, they're washing their damn hands, they're doing what they got to do. I mean, come on, enough. And of course, the left, they don't want to open up the country. They want America to be like North Korea forever. They want everybody under lockdown. They want people that open up their business to go to jail, like that hair salon owner did in Texas for 7 days. Listen to this. This is Chuck Todd, NBC News. You know, Chuck Todd over at NBC News. Sounds like NBC's got bigger problems than this, but here's Chuck Todd. He's interviewing a member of Congress, a Republican, I believe.
And here's the hardest part, and you know this, the bluntest part of this, which is what value to put on human life. I mean, we're starting to see that essentially we're about to make this step collectively as a society, and I don't know anything about it, but we're all going to do it, which is we know more people will die if we open things up, and we're trying to decide what is that line of tolerance. That's an uncomfortable place to put a society in.
Wow. You know, there's Chuck Todd. He always thinks he's got the question, then he gets that little smirky thing going on with his lips. You know, Chuck Todd, why is it okay for you, Chuck Todd, to go to work, but the rest of the country cannot? It's dangerous for everyone else, but you can go to work. Joe Scarborough and Mika can go to work. Fredo can go to work. You know, why is it okay for all of these members of the media to go to work, but the rest of America can't? And, you know, the insensitivity, and this goes for Fox News Channel too. Chuck Todd, why can't you just stay home? Stay home. We're in this together. Well, you know what? Not everyone has people coming to their home and setting up television studios and paying them their 6-7 figure salaries for sitting at home and chiming in for an hour a day from their home. He doesn't understand that. And I've been talking about this for weeks. It's god awful what's going on. It is god awful what's going on. You know, there are people out there that not only are out of work, they have no idea when they're going to be allowed. Can you imagine? Allowed to go back. And you've heard some of these stories. Rents and mortgages are not being paid. And that goes for car payments and credit card payments and water bills and electric bills. People are accumulating so much debt. Do you really think that all these bills are going to be forgiven? Oh yeah, we're all in this together now. But no, people, and by the way, that doesn't include, not only they're not paying those things, they're scrounging together for pennies and the couch cushions to buy food. I mean, we've got to open up the country. It's enough. You can't keep America locked up like North Korea until no one gets sick again. You know, and people can decide on their own what they do. Some people will say, well, would you go to church on Sunday? I probably wouldn't go to Mass on Sunday anyway. You know, I like to go to Mass on Saturdays when church isn't so crowded. I'm really conflicted about one thing about going back to Mass. I don't know if I'll ever take communion again. I haven't drank, you know, in a long time when I've taken communion, because I've gotten sick from that multiple times from the communion cup. But now I'm worried about, you know, taking the wafer from the priest. I mean, yeah, and I think a lot of people were. But that's my decision. If somebody else wants to go and take Holy Communion and sit next to people at church, it's America. This isn't East Germany. You know, if I was living in Havana, I could get in the car and go to the beach when the show's over. I couldn't do the show there because I don't have free speech, but I can still go to the beach. I can't go to the beach now. Beach is closed. I can drive by the beach. I can see it. But I can't walk on it. What is this? This is Cuba? You know? Sorry, Chuck Todd. People don't, not everyone's rich and has their workplace set up in their home like all of you people do on NBC News. People need to work so they can pay their bills and eat. Mostly eat at this point, because it's been a long time. You know, you hear most people live paycheck to paycheck, and sadly that is true. You know, and people have been missing a lot of paychecks. What are they doing? I don't know. You know, they say, well, go wait in line all day at the food bank. Well, this is America. Come on. And you know what? Honestly, a lot of people don't have enough money to put gas in their car to go wait in line at a food bank. I don't think people have any idea how desperate it's getting out there for people. And you know what? I don't even really want to know. I hear stories and things like this, and it's so sad. It's like watching those animal abuse commercials they run all the time on Fox, looking for donations for the Humane Society. It's what people are going through or suffering that is no longer needed. You know, when things were shut down, we had all these models that were wrong. We had all these things coming out from Fauci and others. The projections, thankfully, were wrong. Of course, they'll say it's because, well, you sheltered in place and did what you're told. Maybe, maybe not, but okay, let them take credit for it. Okay, you're sheltering in place for it, but we're beyond that now. And not only are we beyond that, the country has changed its behaviors. The behavior of people in the country has changed to an extent that they wash their hands, they use hand sanitizer, they're wearing masks, they do keep their distance. It's a different... What people are doing when they're out and about socially today is different than it was 2 months ago. Everything needs to... No phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Open everything up except the schools. All right, let's take our break for the bottom of the hour. I'm Brian Craig. You are listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll take a break and be back. Don't go anywhere.
Kane, I'm sitting here with my good friend and
That's right.
my attorney, Barry Siegel of the Siegel Law Group. Barry,
You can see right here, that's the commercial that's playing.
Elder Law. Since I'm getting up there in years, I'd like to find out exactly what that is and when and if I need it.
Sure, Steve. Elder law, think of it as asset protection. Now, as we age and get into our retirement years, the number one concern or threat to our assets is the cost of long-term care. Care either at home, in an assisted living facility, or in a nursing home can be very, very expensive. And it can eat away at your assets. It can even deplete your assets to nothing. Imagine if you lose all your assets, you have to go into a facility and your spouse at home has nothing.
Steve Kane Show.
Or you may end up not having any assets left to leave to your loved ones. So with elder law, we are able to look at different government benefits that may be available to you or your spouse, such as Medicaid or veteran benefits. And even if you don't think that you're eligible for these benefits, you'd be surprised. That's
Hey
what
there.
elder law attorneys do, is we help people who may not be eligible at this point become eligible so that they can protect their assets for themselves, their spouse, and their loved ones.
Well, it sounds like a really great idea. I suggest you call my attorney.
Hey guys,
Barry
make sure you
Siegel,
subscribe.
And, he will be glad to set up an appointment and explain everything to you in even more detail. His number, toll free, 1-855-FLA-3782. Mention that you heard it on the Steve Kane Show.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, and it's time to check in with Richard Pearl from Simply Natural in the city of Sunrise. Hey, Richard Pearl, good morning. Well, what's going on in the world of nutraceuticals today?
Well, you know, I gotta tell you something. Normally,
Really? What'd you do, see a Fauci press conference? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, how convenient. Yeah.
who's a Fox medical contributor, you know, they're saying, well, we still need all the data. We don't know all that. We know the data. The people who are dying are 75 to 80 years old or older. They're in nursing homes. The majority of people who are dying are in nursing homes or some kind of health facility. That's the people who are dying. Hospitals don't want to treat people who are sick. I thought the hospital was the place where you're supposed to go. Doctors don't want to see patients. I thought doctors were supposed to help people. Now, there are plenty of good ones out there that want to do that, but the reality is they've left people to their own devices, but then they've told people you can't do anything, and don't do anything but wash your hands and run to your, I don't know, to your fortress in your bedroom somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's right. I know. Mm-hmm. I know. And they're upset that things are opening up now. That's what really is burning them. You see the meltdown going on. Especially, I was so happy when the White House said that they're going to dissolve the coronavirus task force starting in June, which is enough. I mean, enough. We need to move on. Listen, Richard Pearl's store, Simply Natural, is a great store. I'm a customer there. I know many of you are customers there. He's located in the city of Sunrise, just north of Sunset Strip, on the east side of University Drive, and they're open Monday through Monday, right? 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. And the number over there, if you have any questions, and by the way, they'll ship to you anywhere. If you can't make it into the store because of distance, or maybe you're local and you can't drive, that's okay. Richard Pearl, Simply Natural, will ship to you anywhere. 954-741-4045. 954-741-4045. Richard Pearl, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, take care. I look forward to it as well. All right, let's go to Mike. Mike, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Hey, it's Mike and Boca. How are you, Brian?
All right, Mike and Boca.
I make a prediction Friday. Sheriff of Broward County will step down.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was for him, but after that guy, when he said, and I read about the alleged self-defense, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. He was 40 at the time. But he's got to go.
Well, that story that I was sharing with the guy from redbroward.com that from the 93 paper in Philly. I mean, that was, didn't sound like the same thing. Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, yeah. Well, this is the thing. I don't know. Does anyone know how long was he a police officer in Coral Springs? Does anyone know? He was a sergeant. Well, what I'm wondering is, his career's over. His career's over, and he's going to have a difficult. This is a tough thing to come back from. Very difficult, and on top of the fact that he was less than forthcoming with the governor, he's burned a lot of bridges. So what I'm wondering is, what I'm wondering is, does he have enough time in to get a pension? And would his pension be at his sheriff's salary? I don't know if he's been a police officer long enough to get a Florida state pension, but a consideration for someone like the sheriff today is, how am I going to support myself and my wife when I resign? That's a concern.
Isn't there something private at one time?
Well, I don't know too much about it. I mean, what's the problem? No one knew much about him, including the governor that appointed him, apparently. But he had some type of private security company, I thought. I don't know what they did, how they did, or how big they were. But I don't know if he still has it. I don't know. But resigning's a big deal. You resign, it's a big deal. You got to give up your badge, give up your gun. And the Ken Jenney, who was the sheriff of Broward that went to jail, he built the most luxurious office of any public official in America at the top of the Broward Sheriff's Building. If you've ever seen, go online and look. It's huge. That's a lot to walk away from. It's not as easy as you think to walk away from something like that. Resign in disgrace. So your prediction is he resigns by Friday? What I would do if I were him is I would exit the race and ride out. And what's that?
Ron, he's talking to Ron right now. This is going to make you sick. This is going to kill Ron if he doesn't.
Well, Governor, this is the thing. Governor DeSantis needs to be the leader of the charge for him to drop out of the race. Needs to be the leader of it, and that way it'll help him a little bit, because Ron DeSantis is looking like a clown here. His people did not vet him properly. But you know what? Either did the Coral Springs police, because they not only hired him, he worked his way up to sergeant. And when we were talking to Tom from Red Broward, when we were talking to Tom from Red Broward, the incident in Philadelphia, the name was spelled differently in the papers, and he was a minor. But this, that's no excuse. I mean, he's embarrassed the governor. And I'm telling you, 10 years, DeSantis will be running for something. We're going to be hearing about Sheriff Tony with DeSantis and the VIP bliss. I know. It's sad.
That's not going to get any traction. Fox News can't really talk about it. No.
The thing with Fox News, I had Melissa Francis on my podcast when that was going on, and I asked her about it, and she was very forthcoming. She laid everything out for me on my podcast. Melissa Francis from Outnumbered? My podcast is all the time. I had a new episode last night. I had her on my podcast during the Roger Ailes scandal, and she totally unloaded and told me everything that she thought about it. It was amazing. I interviewed her. It was like her lunch break, and I could hear her drinking out of a cup with a straw, and she just went off on the whole thing. It was pretty good. I got her at the right time, and
She just leaves all out. That's what I like about her.
yeah, I mean, she doesn't hold back, and she was on Little House on the Prairie. But anyway, the news business, news people are scummy people. I mean, look, Fox News, that was some scummy stuff with Roger Ailes, and everyone knew. Well, Roger Ailes, the only reason the story kind of died off, even though they made that movie, which I haven't seen with Nicole Kidman and them, is because Roger Ailes died. I mean, he was a Roger Ailes figure. I mean, can you imagine a woman sleeping with well, I don't think they slept, but could you imagine a woman having sex with Roger Ailes? It'd be very difficult to say who's a more disgusting person, Roger Ailes or Harvey Weinstein. You know, TMZ does this thing, who would you rather? Put Roger Ailes next to Harvey Weinstein. I'd love to see the... But, you know, listen, in a lot of these incidents, though, and a lot of the... You know, the thing is, the media are scummy people, but it's the entertainment field, and it's visual entertainment. So anytime you have beautiful people and workplaces like this, men are going to want to have sex with them. I mean, you know, remember when Harry Met Sally, could a man and a woman be a friend without having sex? And the reality is no.
Even when you watch Fox News, they still got the lens everywhere. Like,
yeah, but, you know, you'd have a tough time. I was in shock that, you know, Jesse Waters recently married his former mistress, right? And she worked at Fox, and she was a lower level producer, and it was after Roger Ailes, and he had to go and disclose it to Human Resources and everything. I was in shock that he wrote that out. I thought they would use that to get rid of Jesse Waters. Yeah, but before you go to Human Resources, you know, one thing that's unfair about it, you know, when I was single, most everybody I went out with were people I worked with. Even when I was in high school, I had a job, and everybody, we all went out with each other. Even my wife was a listener to the show. That's how I met my wife. You know, I mean, so as guys today, where are you supposed to meet women? You can't go out with women you work with anymore, which is how most people meet. All right, take care, Mike and Boca. You're on the radio. Good morning.
YouTube broadcast from...
Al, you called me in the first hour. Why did you call me back? That you're at the airport in Charlotte changing planes? Okay, go sit in one of the rocking chairs they have there. They're really comfortable. They're all over the airport in Charlotte, rocking chairs. If you were there, I'm sure you would see them. All right, ask someone where the rocking chairs are. All right, you squeezed your way on the air. Lucky for me, it's time for the gold report. So what do you got real quick before I hang up on you?
I just purchased that at this airport.
Who cares where you are? No one cares, Al. No one cares. Do you have any content?
I'm giving your phone number out for people to comment on this phone call.
Do you think you've said something that's worthy of comment? I don't even have anything to comment about with this phone call. This phone call is awful. There's no content here. This is terrible.
You haven't given me the opportunity to speak.
No, you call. It's time for the gold report. You're done. I got a break. All right, take care. You missed your opportunity. Got to be quick. All right, let's take a break. All right, we'll be right back.
We're chatting today with Frank, the owner of two magnificent Ace Hardware stores.
What a jerk.
One, Deerfield Beach, 365 South Federal Highway, about a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough on the west side of Federal Highway. And the other, Beach Ace Hardware, located at 232 Commercial Boulevard, half a block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the sea. How many years have you owned this business?
I've been in the hardware business for over 40 years, Steve.
If I have a home project that I'm doing, there are so many around the house, that's the big thing today. What's the difference of my experience if I go to Ace Hardware as opposed to these major impersonal chain stores?
Oh, there's a huge difference. The basic difference is customer service. We're an old-time fashion hardware store. We have experienced people that are working our stores. Our employees are just top-notch. They're very experienced. They know their business. When you're doing a project, you can come into the store and you can get somebody that knows what they're doing, somebody that will like to work with you, to find you the right product the right pieces the first time, so you can get in and out with the right material.
There are lots of Ace
Hey there.
Hardware stores, but there are only 2 that are advertising with the Steve Kane Show. We're talking about the Deerfield location, a quarter of a mile south of Hillsborough Boulevard on the west side of Federal, and of course the Beach Ace Hardware located
Welcome, everyone.
at
Make sure you subscribe.
222 Commercial Boulevard, a half block west of A1A in Lauderdale by the Sea. Very, very special locations. Be sure to mention Steve Kane sent you.
Listen to the Steve Kane Show on iHeartRadio.
All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. Today is Steve Kane's birthday. That's why he's not with us today. He's celebrating his birthday today, which he should be doing. He should be doing, absolutely. All right, it's time to check in with William Youngerman with the Morning Gold Report. William Youngerman, good morning. Good morning. You're on the air. Oh, I'm doing great. How are the metals looking today?
No, giving us a little bit of a pullback. Yesterday we saw gold put it up to 1706.10, which is up on the day. Silver was at $14.94, while platinum closed out yesterday at $760, and palladium was down to $1,725. This morning we had gold in a trading range from $16.90 to $17.10, which is about where it's been for the last several weeks. And right now it's down to the lower end of the trading range at $1,692 per ounce for gold. That's down $14.10. Silver is up 2 cents at $14.96. Trading range so far this morning, $14.86 to $15.31. Platinum's down $10 right now at $750, while palladium is down $35 at $1,690. Palladium has been taking a nosedive after hitting up towards that $2,000 price range, and now back down to $1,690. So that's pretty much where we are so far.
Yeah, and of course, Mother's Day is Sunday. Today is Wednesday. You still have time to stop into William Youngerman's and do some shopping for Mom on her day. The number over there, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. And online, WilliamYoungerman.com. The address, 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, and that's on the first floor of the Bank of America building immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow. All right, you too, take care. Did you guys hear this bizarre rambling of Don Lemon the other night about the president? It's amazing. The standards they have for broadcasters on national television these days is so low. I mean, you would think after the first time Don Lemon was drunk on CNN on New Year's that he would be sober in the future New Year's broadcast. No, he's drunk every year, and he goes on these strange ramblings on CNN quite often. Very strange. Here it is, Don Lemon. And I think when Don Lemon was drunk and he was talking about how bad his love life was and he was all alone. Remember that CNN New Year's Eve, and he was in New Orleans drunk. I think, what was he drinking? Was he drinking tequila? Vodka? I can't remember. And he was talking about his love life and how he couldn't keep a man. It was, oh my goodness. It was a train wreck. But you know what? I watched CNN's New Year's celebration every year because it's great. I mean, Andy Cohen this year was talking about weed. Remember, they had the year that Don Lemon was talking about his love life drunk, they had the one reporter in Colorado out in Boulder on the marijuana bus, and the CNN reporter was high off of marijuana. So she was high on marijuana. Don Lemon was drunk. I mean, they're class acts over there. Oh man, I know, aren't they? So Don Lemon, so this is how they broadcast, but they're in judgment of President Trump. This is Don Lemon the other night on our president.
What is it about President Obama that really gets under your skin? Is it because he's smarter than you?
Oh man.
Better educated? Made it on his own, didn't need daddy's help.
Wow.
Wife is more accomplished.
Why? His wife is more accomplished. Melania is a self-made multimillionaire. She came to America from, Slovakia? All she had was her good looks, and when she married President Trump, she was worth $3 million. So who's more accomplished? Don Lemon says Michelle. Anyway.
Made it on his own, didn't need daddy's help. Wife is more accomplished. Better looking. I don't know. What is it?
Wow.
What is it about him? And he's a black man that's accomplished.
Yeah, that's it.
And he punked you on the whole birth certificate thing. What is it about him? Just wondering.
Yeah, that's Don Lemon. Fredo's in the basement. Don Lemon's out of the basement and out of the closet. My goodness. Okay, now the reason I played that is that thing about the birth certificate at the end. We haven't had a chance to talk about the birth certificate in a long time. The birth certificate with Obama was talked about for years. And by the way, the birth certificate question first came from Hillary Clinton's campaign in that race, not the Republicans. Obama never produced anything until Donald Trump started talking about it. Donald Trump got Obama to produce a document that he said was his birth certificate. Did you notice how I said that? Yeah, but Barack Obama wasn't producing anything until Donald Trump came out and started talking about the birth certificate, and then boom, he got Obama to produce something. What Obama produced was not his official birth certificate with the raised seal of the state of Hawaii. He produced a color photocopy that he said was of his birth certificate with the raised seal. No one has actually held the actual official birth certificate that I know of and done a forensic document examination of it. Now, I think Obama was born in Hawaii. I don't subscribe to the idea that he was born anywhere else but Hawaii. I mean, you know, he was connected. There's no doubt about that. But he was born in Hawaii. But he didn't produce anything until Trump said so. So he did not get trumped by Obama with the birth certificate. Trump trumped Obama with the birth certificate because he produced that colored photocopy of a document that he said was of his birth certificate. And he came out and had a whole press conference about it. If you remember, it was a big deal because of Trump. So, and that was kind of Trump's introduction to running for president, actually, was that whole thing. The birth certificate is what started getting him on the political news stations talking about things, was when he started talking about the birth certificate. So it led to him being the president of the United States. Now, Adam Schiff is back out with us. And he's as sleazy as ever while he's in lockdown somewhere in California. It's Adam Schiff talking about the president and 9/11.
Told the senators that he was not going to change. And there was no way to constrain him, that he is who he is, and he would continue to operate the way he had. And indeed, that's exactly what we've seen since. Now, the one thing I think we dramatically understated.
Oh, yeah.
When we asked the question, if you found him guilty, do you really need to remove him, given that there's another election only 9 months away? How much damage could he really do? We said a lot, but little did we know just how great the casualties would be. You know, some days we lose the equivalent of the number of people we lost on 9/11. And, you know, I think that there's no way we could have foreseen just how tragic his malfeasance would be in the remaining months of his administration.
Yeah, okay. So some days, as many or more die than on 9/11, it's Trump's fault. If we would have moved him from office, this wouldn't be happening. No, the coronavirus first came here during the impeachment. When the impeachment trial was going on in the Senate is when this first started, even in this country. So how does him not being removed from office have anything to do? And I'll tell you, you know, when this is all said and done, you look at everything that was done around this country. It was all the federal government led by Trump. The governors did very little. They did some things on their own after they were instructed what to do from the coronavirus task force that the president put together. They received the ventilators, they received the hospital ships, they received the PPEs they keep talking about, personal protective equipment. They received all that stuff because of Trump, everything. But the corona started happening during your impeachment trial. Schiff was up there trying the president of the United States and the Senate when the coronavirus hit America. So I don't know what this joker's talking about. He goes on.
Well, we certainly told the senators that he was not going to change, and there was no way to constrain him.
Yeah. This guy's a piece of work.
His effort to deflect responsibility onto China for many of the administration's own failings. So it's part and parcel of the president's modus operandi, but a real disservice, a continuing disservice to the country.
There we go. All right, Adam Schiff, he's back. He's in quarantine, but he's back. Listen, guys, we're all out of time for today. We will be back tomorrow live at 6 a.m. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. That's right. And we are here live weekday mornings from 6 until 9 a.m. with overnight rebroadcast 7 nights a week, midnight till 6 a.m. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Take care, everyone.
Stop paying an outrageous fortune for your tires. Go easy on your budget and buy your tires at Friendly Tire.
All right, guys, subscribe if you're not subscribed, all right? I will see you all